Let's fix the camera. The microphone. Boom. Is this thing on? Just kidding. I know it's on. Let's turn up the brightness if possible. Yes, it is possible. Anything is possible. Aye. Cafe Alley is first up. Amazing. I should have done a premiere or a schedule for the live stream, but I sure didn't, did I? I am popping this on Twitter. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Everybody. Haircut looking good. Thank you. Congrats. Oh, thank you, Nat. What's up, Michael Jackson forever? Guys, one of my bestest friends in the world is in the chat. Say hello to Nat. Nat Sus. Not Sus. Pleasant surprise. I mean, I try to let you guys know ahead of time that this is gonna happen, but it's hard. The algorithms are not the easiest things. It's not very easy to get people to know anything, because who knows what you're gonna receive. My room is a fucking mess. My nose is a little bit sniffly. That's not good. Let's get the window popping. There we go. Oh, mi Dios. Oh, mi Dios. Did it enlarge now? Oh, that's Twitter. Nope, not that. Oh, I see what happened. Huh? There we go. We're gonna do live questions in the chat. Sorry, I have this. Ew. I randomly have the sniffles. And I'm just gonna pull my hair up. I wanted to wash my hair. I didn't get a chance. Ugh, it doesn't look great. I gotta get a haircut tomorrow before my thing. Sniffle, sniffle, sniffle. Oh, this is the wrong. I can't do this right. I cannot get it right. This is the one. What's up? What's up? What's up? Been a minute since we kicked it. You guys remember that one? You guys know that one? No. Oh, mi Dios. Oh, Dios mío. Oh, I'm so tired, bro. We're gonna get started in a couple minutes, just letting everybody settle in. What's up, y'all? Maybe if I make the title more spicy. I think I need to make the title more spicy, because I have a surprising lack of I have a surprisingly lower amount of viewership so far. Surely it's healthy for me to chase views in such a manner. How do I make the title more spicy? Excuse me. Excuse me. These are some of the questions we'll be answering today. I'll just do mental health under capitalism. That was what I was originally going to go with, and then I changed it up. My nose is sniffly. Where is all these sniffles coming from? Is it like dusty? It must be really dusty in here. I have not really been in this room. Well, I haven't been in this room in like, God, 6 days, and it has not been cleaned in my wake. Be right back, guys. Hold still. All right. It is a complete disgusting mess here. You see how beat up my chair is too? Over the course of this year, glow ups will occur, I promise you. Glow ups will occur, y'all. Okay. So let's get to it. First and foremost, should I show you the poll? I'll show you the poll. I'll pop out for a sec. So, oh, and I forgot my mouse. Whatever, it's fine. So does everybody have ADHD now? Is going to be next weekend's video. So we're gonna work on a bit of an essay on ADHD and people's feeling of having ADHD and its seeming popularity or seeming explosion of diagnoses and symptom notes, symptom annotation. I don't know how the fuck to say that. Self-report. Symptom self-report. One thing first before we do anything. Guys. And you guys are gonna fucking deal with it. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I say what I want. I do what I want. This is my channel. Fucking get in here, motherfuckers. Ah! I don't even know how to act anymore. We are top of the league. Say we are top of the league. Ah! Ah! Okay, now that I've gotten that out of my system, let's get into a Q&A. So we're first going to be looking at questions that were left in the comments. I'm going to pick... I'll try to get to as many as possible without giving long-winded answers. So I'll have to start being, efficient. Kendrick Vid, super appreciated. BTW, very interesting. Thank you so much. What's up, Sumi? Shout out to the Arrow Aces. Shout out to Arrow Ace Rights. Okay. Hey, yeah. What's up, everybody? Why is nobody here? I'm surprised. Usually we get like 50 people for a live stream. Well, whatever. Once I start talking, we'll see. Just as long as we can get like one or two mods in here, that would be ideal. Matthias is here. Cole is here. Okay. Okay. As a native New York City resident, can you talk about some of the pros and cons you've experienced living in the city most of your life? As a Texan who had probably never experienced living in New York, I've always loved hearing the life experiences of native New Yorkers. Thank you, hamster style. I'm gonna shave soon, but I didn't have time. Um, Pros and cons of living in New York City. Well, it's my home. This is, Queens is my home. Okay, Queens is my shit. I love Queens. And you struggled to press this live. What happened? And when it's some places your home and there's so many things about it that feel just right to you, even the difficulties you just sort of deal with and you don't really think of too much. I'll say one of the obvious cons is how expensive everything is. And also how bad some of the things are infrastructurally, even though this is a very walkable city, which I deeply, deeply appreciate. That is definitely a pro. There's also definitely some infrastructural problems with certain roads and bridges and the MTA. There's definitely, just a lack of care for working class people here. And, I've been privileged enough to have, my parents be able to take care of me a lot and sort of figure my thing out from there. Elliot and his dad era. Yeah, we'll be back to the shaven look soon, because I don't really enjoy this, but I'm trying to just like let it be for a bit. Yeah. So pros, it is extremely diverse. Queens is the most food diverse place in the world, and it's more than just food. Of course, it's a cultural thing where you just meet people from all walks of life, and you can find different ways to unite with them and build friendships and communities with them, and that's something that I never take for granted. Also, there's some great resources and things to see here. So yeah, kind of a boring answer, but maybe one day I'll get more in depth. What are your thoughts on religion and spirituality? Do you believe in anything? Is there something you hate or indifferent to? I love your videos and happy 25K. So I'm a bit of a free spirit religiously. I am a bit of a person who's open to like different ideas. But Buddhism is really the thing that I've been learning about the most, and sort of I don't want to say converting to, but just sort of adopting a lot in my life. And that's because, something that I read the other day that really makes sense of that for me. There's, Buddha was a person who, he told people not to necessarily believe. His ideal wasn't at all to have people believe, to convince people to believe in something. In fact, he found that could often be a very problematic dynamic. His interest was in just pointing out what is known, in a sense. He gives theory to it, he gives structure to it, but there's not a sense of like, this is the God, this is the belief system, this is what you need to do. It's more like, hey, look, God, like, I dare you to think that this isn't true. Almost. It's about knowing. And much of what has led me back to Buddhism is just coming across things in my life and being like, oh, like, this is true. This is something that I find to be true. Experientially, even sometimes more than that. So, for me, I think Buddhism is something that, in a larger sense, also has a real potential place in our society as something that can be incorporated more and more, not just as like a spiritual doctrine or as a type of religion, but just as a part of what we practice and change about our society. Because, with anxiety being such a prevalent thing, but what Buddhism really addresses is the internal turmoil. it addresses the internal struggle and turmoil, and rather than align power or align a belief system to make people sort of forced into a particular structure. Not that I'm against other religions, but it's different when you choose your religion versus when your religion is forced upon you. But rather than that, having certain principles and practices that can be so healing is something that I think is really important to the social change that we try to change. Well, not just social change, but the change, right, that we're trying to bring in the society that we're trying to build to address the particular conditions that we're facing. What got you into leftist thought? How do you approach these topics when talking to non-leftists? So these are great questions so far. Thank you to everybody who submitted them. What got me into leftist thought? Since a very young age, I had a very palpable sense of justice, I guess. Yeah, by the way, the panda's still here. Hi, Panda. Hey, Panda. I had a very palpable sense of justice, a sense that the world needed to be more just, even starting within my own family. Like, I used to just defend my sibling a lot, feeling like my parents were too harsh on my sibling. I could get a real feel for the things around me that were tense and inequitable, and for how power factored into things. I just felt very keenly aware of it from an early age, which is interesting. I wonder what I was in my past life to have such a sensibility. So when I started learning, ideas about, hey, the education system is broken because of political influence, and there's corruption, and the justice system is not really just at all, and people have these, the bigoted ideas that they use to enforce particular, power dynamics that are allowed by particular power structures. Not that I was learning that at at 8 or 9, but that I was coming across ideas that were sort of about power and about injustice. It felt extremely at home to me, and it felt like I immediately, especially like learning like about in high school too, like about inequity of mental health and mental conditions, right? And how that affects different people in school. There are even just the smallest things that your parents would say to you and be like, yeah, mom is right that school isn't really as easy for me as it is for other people, and that maybe it's not necessarily every path for the same person, and that maybe there is something unjust about what people force upon you, or when people tell you that you don't live up to your potential or whatever. The education system definitely was a radicalizing antagonizing force for me. As much as I am now, ironically, very interested in education, it was definitely growing up feeling the inequities of the education system that have partially inspired me into that, and have also, been greatly due to me being, greatly a part of me becoming lefty. And then once I was like 7th grade, I got into hip hop a lot, and then you listen to artists like Lupe Fiasco. Even before that, listening to Linkin Park and Fort Minor, the project by Mike Shinoda, and some of the subject matters of the songs, like a song like Kenji that talks about internment camps of Japanese Americans during World War II in the U.S., or Fort Minor records about like him just making comments about political injustice. Lupe was always doing this really deep political commentary, right? And so I was in 7th grade, like listening to stuff like that, and then I would watch like the Young Turks and stuff like that. I was on the internet a lot, so the internet was definitely, I was radicalized, sort of lefty on the internet before I was even, before proverbially that my Adam's apple came out and my voice dropped or whatever. And so that's sort of what has been big. And then as far as talking to non-leftists, it's extremely difficult process for a lot of people. It has been the tough one for me, but my comfort zone has really come from finding that I don't need to dehumanize anyone. I don't need to lose compassion for anyone. I don't need to force myself to be mean towards people when I am irritated by them. I don't need to get angry all the time. I actually benefit from not getting angry. I benefit from actually just calming down and being compassionate with the person in a moment, and just telling them, about what I think and what I think the world is saying around them, or what the world is doing to them that cause them to feel certain ways, cause them to have certain issues. Whether it's my father, my parents were not exactly lefty people. My family's not exactly full of lefty people. My friends, and it was a lot of conflict for me growing up. But as time has passed and as I've learned from the examples of different leftist leaders, not that I'm like, extend the olive branch all the time, but there's not really a need to be super conflictual either. You can just state what you feel, and then you can listen to a person disagree, and if you come at them kindly, like, there's not anything that it's gonna bother you. That's the biggest thing. Like, they may not always react the best to you all the time, but feeling good about yourself in the situation makes all the difference. And so I just focus on making sure that when I'm in a situation talking to somebody who's far from my own beliefs, I don't try to win an argument. I don't try to sort of impose my will on them or make them feel bad about themselves. What I try to do is listen to them, and then at some point it'll be pretty clear to me how my beliefs and my ideals and my whatever knowledge that I have can potentially address some of the things they think and feel. What's up, Evelyn? Yeah, the Young Turks have been around for a long time. I wish I had more ginger ale. God, I missed ginger ale. There's ginger ale in DR, but I didn't drink any. I was on vacation this week, just to be clear. So that's why everything's been a mess, and I'm like a little bit tanner right now. I don't know why my facial hair grew out. 25K, holy crap. Now we're at 30K. Thank you so much. We got 30K subscribers. I'm moved to tears. You just can't see, but I moved to tears. Let me get Moonchild first. What do you usually focus on when drafting video ideas? Is it the title, the editing style, or research the actual filming? So I think of the idea and the title and the thumbnail first, because ultimately my job, my goal is to make YouTube my full-time job. I have ambitions, of course, to try to make videos that are entertaining and educational, and to try to make videos that help the audience in a specific way. But I don't delude myself on how much capacity I have to make things happen through a YouTube video, whilst being able to actually, manage the workload and the stress of it. I focus more on sort of making the content good for the algorithm, so to speak, good for people to watch, like accessible in some way. I want to get more accessible, of course, but resources, have to be increased a little bit on my end first before I can add things like captions. But I you think of the thumbnail and the title, and you think of certain moments and ideas that'll come into the video, like, oh, wow, that's gonna hit, and then you allow it to sort of play out. You start scripting it, and then you get into of course the research goes into the scripting, and then you get into recording it, sending it to Denai, and letting Denai go wherever she wants to go with it, because she's the genius when it comes to that. 25K, holy crap. What topics have been the hardest to talk about on your channel, and why do your emotions make certain things difficult to cover? Interesting. I don't know if there's any... I don't think my emotions have made anything too difficult. I like talking about my emotions. So if anything, I feel more excited when I'm doing a video that my emotions are in, even though I usually find that doesn't make it that good. The less emotional I am about something, and the more that I'm focused on a type of structure and type of being educational, the better. But with that said, I don't think there's any specific thing so far that has really, really bothered me. Even sharing like some intimate details about my life, and things that I was processing some shame in the last video, but I'm glad that I got to do that. I don't feel like it was so difficult for me, in the sense that I felt like a lot was on the line. The most difficult part is the process of thinking through how to make it work. Thinking through how to make the video good, and how to make the video stand out, and how to make the video work on the algorithm, and all the neurotic processes in my head about it. The neurosis is the hard part. The actual doing is never actually that hard, and that's not to be a bragger. I think that's just how things are in life. What's up, Sham? What's up? I I said hello to Julian, I think, before, but I'm gonna say hello to Julian again. Hi, Julian, and what's up, Nublet, and everybody else. Thank you for coming by. Congratulations on hitting 25K, my friend. Thank you, Vega. If I may ask, you haven't had any favorites in terms of indie and foreign productions like books, music, and films? Interesting. Indie and foreign productions. I'm not sure exactly what. Oh, I mean, like just indie stuff. I don't really have too many thoughts on books. Because I read a lot of just whatever is on like on the thing. I mean, I'm reading Marx right now. You know, it's like I don't really think technically that's an indie foreign production, right? Indie music is probably what I know the best on, I guess, because I've been mostly a music nerd or of some sort in my life. Like, I'm pretty into music, and you know, underground hip hop in the U.S. has definitely been big for me. Usually from New York and California. So artists like Aesop Rock and LP and MF Doom, which are some pretty really big names. Madlib, you know, different records here and there. Immortal Technique, Dime Def, even Blue Scholars. You know, I just have always been a really big fan of like underground hip hop, backpack rap. That was always a big foundation for me. Idea, you know, Atmosphere. Those were hugely influential for me. But I listen to so much different music now. But every time that I come back to, for instance, Labor Days, the album by Aesop Rock, I'm just like, I feel at home in a sense of like that real sense of being challenged in a hip hop record, that real sense of hearing something creative and extremely thoughtful and extremely lyrical and extremely out there, and not giving a fuck about being out there, not giving a fuck about being the cutest, most accessible thing, but literally just being like, this is some art, this is some crazy art that I'm making for some fucking wild ass kids that don't know who their friends are and wear weird clothes and shit. Like, that shit is really inspiring to me. And foreign stuff, you know, I tend to watch foreign stuff a lot. You know, I even take a bit of K media. I do from time to time watch a K drama. I like Crash Landing on You. So maybe that's helpful. How do me and Deny handle work-life balance? I can't speak for Deny, but you know, it's a struggle. It's an ongoing struggle, and I think the biggest thing is just managing stress. You know, that's the big thing that I'm like trying to really impart is like, don't be stressed, just keep doing. You know, it's really really difficult, but yeah, the neuroses are really the hardest part. And when you can eliminate overthinking and eliminate overly stressing about results, and just focus on just your process of just being consistent, being disciplined, getting your things done, and really enjoying that process as well when you can, because when you just know you're gonna do it, you really get to enjoy it, just be in the moment, being present. That's really a big thing for me, but it's a struggle. It's definitely a struggle. How is the process of songwriting for you and making your original songs? I'm always writing songs in a different way, but in these past few years, I think the general process where I write a song is I do a top line for it. And I haven't posted any songs in a long time, so some of you guys might be confused. But there'll be new music this year. Usually I do like a top line, which means like I sort of freestyle melodies and ideas over a beat that I find or make, and then after that I put lyrics to it. And that process is sort of open, and it allows for me to work with what I think is my best quality as a songwriter, which is just being melodic and having melodies that are really catchy and interesting to me, and then also working with my lyrical side by having a structure from which I can impose that. Glad to be part of the journey you brought us along with. Glad to be with it with you on it. I'm really good at talking. What are your thoughts on the idea of life having a deeper meaning, that humans are on Earth for a reason? Congrats on 25K, fucking huge. Let me see. Does life have a deeper meaning? I don't think life has so much meaning. I don't know if it's about meaning or that or about humans being on Earth for a reason. I think we can't know whatever the reason, the meaning is, if there is any. And so for us, the biggest thing is to just be as present and as open-minded and open-hearted as possible. That's what I'll say. Kayla, my best friend, I wish she was here. What's the video in the past 2022 year that you had the most fun and enjoyable time filming, and why? It might have been the last one, which I wanted to have a live stream talking to you guys about the latest video, which is about, what is it about? What the fuck is my, the Riz. Cause that was just fun. I was literally just like at a point where I was like, man, I'm bored. I'm going to try switching some things up. And so I did some experimentation with that video, and I think it came out pretty cool. So that one was fun. That one was definitely fun. Excuse me. The logic one was really fun. The lesser known, analysis of Logic's lyrics and centrism was fun because I definitely came from an emotional place on it, which again, like, doesn't usually bring the most successful results for me, or even necessarily lead to the videos that I like the most. I like it when I'm calmer, but there was definitely a lot of fun and just like digging back a little bit on some records that I used to really like and about hip hop discussions. Matthias Diallo, who's I think still in the chat. How do you feel on accomplishing 25K and on accomplishing things in general? Is it something you thrive off of, or doesn't it play an important role in your life? It's surprisingly unimportant, but I think it is important in the sense that it just shows another benchmark, another sign of like things are going well. A lot of work has been put in, and a lot of luck has happened. You know, I've been very fortunate to be able to do this, and so, you know, whenever you can acknowledge and remark on your fortunes like that, you know, you get a reason to do so. You know, I think it's cause for celebration. I believe in celebrating. I believe in partying. I am Dominican after all. Rachel or Rebecca? Maybe a bit boring to ask, but how are you doing? I'm good, Rachel or Rebecca. What are some things you've been enjoying outside of work and YouTube stuff? So I was just in Santo Domingo this week, so that's pretty relevant to this. I lived for 3 years in Santo Domingo. I am Dominican. I'm Dominican and Chinese. And I had a good time. It was a crazy time. There was definitely some bad feelings too, some stress that I had to work through, some overwhelm that I had to work through. But just the weather was just so lovely. It was just gorgeous every fucking day over there, man. And I missed, New York a lot. I missed a lot of aspects of being in New York, especially like travel is so stressful, and DR can be kind of stressful for me sometimes too. But like the fucking weather is just gorgeous. Like, it's just so pleasant. And my goal is sort of working through, I really enjoy just sort of my spiritual growth and that process, and meditating, studying, studying my dharma, studying my karma as well, learning about different spiritual ideas and different teachings. So that's something that I definitely take a lot of pride in. I've been liking doing Muay Thai a lot. I'm gonna try to get back on that, like, at least once a week for the winter. I really enjoy martial arts. I have a passion for martial arts. I don't do it too much. I haven't been able to do it too much in my life, but in the past 2 years, I started watching different martial arts stuff, and Muay Thai is the thing I've been drawn to the most. And there's a great gym for it nearby. I've been really honored to be able to go there and work with some amazing teachers and stuff, and I'm excited to get back on that. What is your favorite part about making videos? The money. Kayla's here. What's up? Yeah, we're going through the comments for the Q&A. And then we're going to read some of the comments in the chat. We're going to read the chat as well. Don't worry, chat. We'll be on it. Thank you all for coming. My favorite part about making videos is when a video gets successful. I'm just going to be completely honest. When a video is successful and the views start going crazy, and you just know, like, holy shit, I just made $5 in an hour. Like, that's crazy. Like, It's a crazy feeling. I've been so like I'm not. I'm only human after all. I'm only human, and I really do, sometimes enjoy the approval and success. Now, then it kind of quickly washes away when you realize the stress that comes with that. But just in that moment, when you see something, and you see like you're getting some success from it, and you're seeing some yeah, like just like some luck has come your way, and all of a sudden you're gonna get some more attention, some more steps forward in your career. I mean, it's just an amazing feeling because it's such a crapshoot. It's such a crapshoot. Ultimately, you never quite know when it's going to happen or what's going to happen or how. But when you see like some fortune come your way in a material sense, it is quite addicting, and it's something that I'm trying to detach from a bit more, so that I can just focus on me, my day to day, and not being addicted to approval or addicted to like numbers. But it also is just very happy for me because then it allows me to take care of some things in my life that help me with that. Whether it's just like buying something or it's like helping me clean up or whatever, that really is a beautiful feeling. I think the deepest, most rewarding thing about making a video though is working through thoughts and then getting to a point where you're like, wow, like I really learned something. Because really I am the one learning the most from these videos. I think so. I think because it's so much for me to learn and study and then try to articulate. And that's really what the biggest, truest benefit of the work is it almost allows me to, it's a type of school. It's a type of college, a type of education for me, where every day, every week I'm researching, I'm processing, I'm writing essays, and it's just building my knowledge a lot more. So that's also great. There's just so many things that I do enjoy about it, despite all the negatives. And that's life. Samti Momsa. Thanks for the question, Olivia. Samti Momsa, is it much pressure to make video essays? Has it ever occurred to you that your opinion changes over time? Thank you. Keep going, Elliot. Yeah, my opinion changes a lot. I even some stuff that I said in the quick live stream I did yesterday, I feel a little bit differently about now. Like ideas of like, is everything really political? Like, what does it mean for something to be political? Does it have to require a type of political force to be engaged with when you do something? Because I am kind of annoyed by like I do feel like there's a politics that you can draw from and everything. And of course there are political conditions that are making the thing for everything, and there are ways that we have to sort of in our own lives grapple with them, and grapple with how they affect our mental health and our physical health. But at the same time, posting isn't politics, right? Like just tweeting something isn't really doing much. Making even a YouTube video like this isn't really doing all that much in terms of politics. It may be doing more in terms of education and building like, a career for myself and building like some cool content for you guys, and maybe even sharing spaces with you guys where you can communicate with each other. But it's not like I'm fucking up overthrowing anything or really making a huge political gesture when I do that. It's so these are the kinds of things that I'm always grappling with. I'm always thinking about things and changing my opinions all the time. And yeah, that is part of actually what makes it pressure. I definitely feel a lot of pressure every weekend because I want to be successful, that attachment. I want to have success. I want to, get better. I want things in my life to get better, things in my family to get better. It's a lot of pressure, and that's how this thing goes on in this whole capitalism thing. And that's something that I'm working through. What's up, Alexis? Noah, Lucky Uwus. Hold on to your questions for when I'm able to answer the chat, y'all, because I don't want to, have missed a lot of good questions from y'all. So, Mia Person, what are your favorite philosophical theories? Also, like if you really want to make sure your question stands out, not to beg for money or anything, but you can ask it in a super chat and it'll appear there, and I'll be able to run through them. So that would be just like a donation of $1, $5, or $10 or whatever makes your comment read through. What's up, Denai? What's up, Taiwan? We have someone from Taiwan in the chat. 新年快乐. Happy New Year. That was really bad pronunciation, but there you go. 新年快乐. That's all I got. I got ni hao as well. What are your favorite philosophical theories? That's a fun one because it's like so Open-ended, right? Give me philosophical theories. Give me Marx. Surprise. Give me Marx's no. No, you know what? I'm gonna be a spectacle, bro. Give me the spectacle. Give me the idea of the spectacle as posited by who was the French motherfucker who did this Society of the Spectacle. We talked about it in a couple videos. Guy Debord. Give me a little bit of a spectacle talk. I like the spectacle. It's just fun. I just like that. I just like the spectacle. What video of yours? What's up, Nublet? Thank you for the question, Mia. Sorry that I'm not saying everybody's name. What's up, Nublet? What video of yours would you want people to watch first? Not necessarily your favorite, but one you think best represents you and your content. I would say the one I would want people to watch first is definitely the second newest video, which is doing pretty well. It's over 100K views now, and that's the video about time management. I think that is a good video. Despite, some of I can get that there's some drawbacks of it, but I think it's a pretty bomb-ass video, and I think it's an idea that we're going to be returning to, and that has a lot of meaning for me. The time management is capitalist propaganda video. Give me that one. I think people should watch that one first. It represents our content quite well. Things that are going to be going forward very well, and it was good. I think it was fun and good. Dara. What's up, Dara? What do you think about the lots of workloads given to students in the entirety of the world's school systems? Do you think that's still healthy? Does it need changes? Well, it's interesting. I mean, it depends on what your classroom is, what you're studying. And I don't think there's any way that I can say to a professor what amount of work they should be giving. It's contingent on who their students are. And I think that's the biggest thing that I think is important for pedagogy, is that the pedagogy is informed by and structured by the students in some way. Now, of course, the teacher has to impose structure. The teacher has to challenge the students, and part of the ways you challenge a student is by giving them work. And I will say there's just a lot, because of the way attention spans and stresses are now. There's just a lot of times you can find motherfuckers just don't read. Like, people just don't read and write anymore in the same way that they used to. Motherfuckers are trying to use AI to turn in assignments. It's a little bit fucked. It's a little bit fucked, mate. A little bit fucked. But I would say that it's not really going to help to just give people more work. What needs to happen is that students need to be engaged with as human beings to lead the pedagogical experience a little bit more, and to be met where they are a little bit more, because there's, aside from the fact that it's humane and whatever, when people's attention spans are this fucked, you're not going to get their attention simply by trying to throw things at them. You have to let them open up, let them talk, and see all the things that happen. Guy Debord and Byung-Chul Han's work, they're both very interesting. Yeah, Byung-Chul Han, actually, it's a great shout, because that video I also really loved. The Burnout Society idea, and the idea of not toxic positivity. Well, what was the idea of positivity from that? The idea of excess positivity. Like, there's a lot there. That's a great shout. What's up, Paloma? What's up, Paloma? Sofia Alcalde. Excuse me. Congrats to 25K. Do you have any music film recs? My music and film recs are contingent on who the person is. I also don't watch that many films. I did watch on the flight back most of this film, the new Kristen Wiig. Barb and Star go to Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar. I like that movie a lot. I don't know, something about I get that there's a lot of we've talked about how SNL is so often really trash on this channel, and I roasted them pretty hard in that video and the content that we made about it. But there's also a lot of SNL stuff that I love, and I also really like sometimes the way that the SNL cast members, the former SNL cast members, take their characters into these film worlds, or just show their stuff in like a different context. I really love that movie. I mean, I didn't love it. I liked it a lot. I would want to rewatch it though. It was very funny, and I really like a nice laugh. And as far as music, just stream BTS. What's up, Green Mayo man? What are your book recommendations, general but also leftist type reads? What direction do you want your channel to head in the future? Not the best phrasing. And how do you choose and narrow down the topics to talk about in the video essays? So first, book recommendations in general, but also leftist type reads. I would say, again, contingent on who you are. For me, Burnout Society, maybe. Capital Volume 1. I mean, I haven't read Volume 2 and Volume 3 yet. I'm still reading Volume 1, but you can't go wrong with starting to learn Marxism, man, because it's very important. Pedagogy of the Oppressed. We've talked about it. Bell Hooks. Just pick one. Bell Hooks. We Real Cool. Bell Hooks. Feminism is for Everybody. Bell Hooks. The Will to Change. Pick one. What direction do I want my channel to head in the future? I don't know. I generally think one thing that I'd be interested in is getting into a schedule of doing less videos. I don't really want to get there yet. I kind of like doing a video a week right now, especially as we're building the channel up. But eventually I might want to do a video every 2 weeks, so I get more time to research. And then Sham. One thing about Sham is that Sham will come into the chat and just be like, all right, cool. So I have this thing going on. Pizza dough in the fridge. Smells like pineapples. That sounds like it's spoiled. Maybe it has pineapples on it, Sham. If it doesn't, then it might be spoiled. What direction do I want the channel to head in the future? Yeah, I don't really have too many ideas other than that. Other than like getting to a point where I'm slowing the pace down and I'm able to start streaming more. Like when I get things cleaned up and get stuff together, streaming is like gonna be something that I'm more interested in doing. And there's also some stuff with streaming that I'm like a little bit nervous about, but we'll see. And how do I choose to narrow down the topics I talk about in video essays? Well, to be honest, doing the polls has helped a lot. So helping, you guys help me a lot when you vote in the polls about what topics you want to see for the upcoming videos. Yeah, you might want to toss that one, Sham. For the upcoming videos, and you want to, sort of, I want to like sort of allow you guys to sort of give me your feedback, because it makes it a lot easier. It's a lot harder when you have to pick things on your own, truly. And I narrow it down, honestly, based on the interest of time. Like, time restrictions will make you a lot better as a video maker. Word restrictions make you a lot better oftentimes as a writer, because you have to really be strong about what you're choosing to say and talk about and choosing to do, and throw out all the gunk. It's a lot easier to just like sit here for an hour and just talk and rant. But it's a lot harder when you do the work of editing, whether it's editing the videos themselves like Denai does, or whether it's moving the mic over for the shadow, or whether it's like editing the script and editing with Denai and stuff like that. Kaylee, what colors describe you? What color describes me? I would say it's gotta be on the blue spectrum. No, it's gotta be something blue. I don't know, maybe give me you know what, cerulean, black as well, and give me maybe purple, maybe lavender. There's a lot of colors, a lot of good colors. What books have you read or recommend? We talked about books a bit earlier, so favorite anime, Haikyuu. I do like Haikyuu. Did the new season come out yet? It didn't, right? It's snowing? Nice. You had to order a book from Spain? Oh, God, Denai. I'm so sorry. See, I'm a PDF guy. I'm definitely a LibGen guy, which is... I have no idea what that is. What I just said, I have no idea what it is. What would my superpower be? My superpower would be relaxation. I would emit pulses that make people relax. I would just touch my brain like Professor X, but then everybody would just fucking and just calm down and just be filled with love and relaxation. And motherfuckers would just, oh, I don't know what to do here. You know what? Was I gonna kill you? No, I wasn't. Sorry. Just chill out. You want to smoke something? Favorite genre of music or movie? Hip hop. Favorite genre of movie? Documentary. Crown, what do you think about the state of mental health today and our treatments, i.e. psychiatry and therapy? All congratulations. It's bad. Mental health is bad. Treatments, psychiatry and therapy can both be really helpful, but you have to do the work to research on your own to make sure you're doing something that works for you. Sophie, what's something you're really proud of or yourself or your channel for, and what's something you'd like to improve in 2023? I am really proud of myself for being so consistent and doing so much work and not giving up on myself. And I'm really proud of our channel for doing that, for being a space that has really put out some pretty interesting messages. You know, nothing's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I could definitely get it way better. But I'm proud of having the good vibes and as well as some good ideas. What's something I'd like to improve? I'd like to improve my knowledge. I'd like to improve my research. I'd like to make my videos even more efficient and more strong with using people's time. I'd like to make the videos even more sort of engaging. Well, not too engaging. I don't want to start being I don't want to start like overthinking and getting like Mr. Beast about it. But like, I also want to like improve like the room. I want to improve like the equipment at some point. You know, get a new phone would be great so that I can film with it with a little bit extra memory. I decided that would probably be better for me because then I don't have to worry about the camera yet, you know, and I can use another phone which works with the setup I have right now while also having a new phone because this phone is old and a little bit beat up. So those are some things. Evelyn, our goat, how much time do you spend doing the research for a video on average? Probably like 3 to 4 hours. It's not really super tangible. It takes time. It takes a lot of like sort of thinking and half work, you know, half space. Ivan the boy, what do you imagine your dream life to be like in the future? I don't really think it would. I mean, I have certain ideas like being more chill, having a lot more cleanliness and space. A rap group called CYNE, interesting. Having more space, having nicer equipment, being able to do cool stuff that I can spend money, like having a lot of money, you know. Just general stuff that you're like, yeah, that'd be a good, that would help a lot. But I wouldn't say that I'm trying not to dream too much because my life is a dream, you know. Everything I'm really fortunate, and there's a lot that I enjoy in the present. Less evil, Nyar the Hotep. Less evil, Nyar Lat Hotep. Hi, I'm new here. Welcome. Could you maybe recommend your favorite media, books, games, etc. that deal with focus on radical politics? I'm always looking for more of those. So we did some of those before. Games, I don't really know, but I do like playing. Well, actually, I don't know of any. If you guys know any games that have great radical politics, you know, especially like simulator type stuff, management and simulator type stuff, because I'm such a fucking dork, and that's the type of shit I like. Because I'm proud of being a fucking dork. I like it. But books, yeah, like you can't go wrong with Bell Hooks. You can't go wrong with Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. You can't go wrong with Karl Marx, Capital Volume 1, 2, and 3. You can't go wrong with, you know, Frantz Fanon. You can't go wrong with anything of like that. Next hair color you want to try? How are you feeling about purple? Thanks, Sophie. I think I'm gonna be black for a while. I think I'm just gonna go black for a while. Just gonna cut this frosted tip off and just start growing it nice and natural, long black hair. And I don't know, I'm just too indecisive to really grow my hair out long. It's tough. I love long hair, and yet I'm so indecisive. Like I get that urge. I'm just like, color it, shave it and dye it. So we'll see. Big bag of gamer. What prescription are your glasses? I don't really know what the prescription is, but I'm nearsighted, and it's fairly strong. It's not like super duper strong, but it's fairly strong. I think my vision might be getting worse. What is your favorite, Lisa? What is your favorite film, music, album? My favorite film is probably like Fight Club or something, or Mulan. Oh no, my favorite film is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and my favorite album is The Cool by Lupe Fiasco. What are your thoughts on data ownership and privacy and its implications for collective action, healthcare, social media inequality, etc.? Well, it's bad. The state of things is that thanks Ted. The state of things is that like it's bad. I mean, you have extremely rich and powerful tech companies that own everybody's data and can basically infringe on people's privacy in any way that they so choose, so long as the people that they bribe allow them to do that. So capitalism is really the problem there, isn't it? It just all comes back to capitalism. Michael Jackson Forever 39. Sorry that wasn't the best answer, but I feel like if I were to dive into that more, it would have to be so much more research and thought and take a long time. Michael Jackson Forever 39. Since I'm still relatively new here, all right. What got you into making YouTube videos? So I started making YouTube videos when I was a preteen, frankly, and I've been on and off doing it, trying to see if I can go viral a lot since I was young. And what really drove me to doing this channel, I had a different channel that Deny and I were working on called Baby Gang Magazine, where we were mostly talking about K-pop and BTS discourse, often very informed by Twitter discourse. And then I realized I don't really want to do that anymore. So I was like, I want to have my own channel where I'm able to just really be myself and express things again. Not even again, but like for the first time. And I feel like that channel informed me so much on how to do a lot of these things. So that's when Elliot Sang channel came about. And I really started taking it seriously in the summer because I wasn't making any money. And I wanted to do something with my life. And I said, fuck it. There's a way that I can do this. And then I started, and I've been making Deny. I've been making videos almost every week with Deny ever since. Mega Tiny. What foods do you like recently? Man, listen. I am such a foodie. I love food so goddamn much. I love pizza. I love fried chicken. I love croquetas de pollo. I had some delicious croquetas de pollo last night before I left. And it was at a seafood restaurant, and the seafood itself wasn't that good. It's just like, come on, you're in DR. The two best things I ate, the three best things I ate in DR was, there was a steakhouse that I went to with my father. That was really nice. There was a fried red snapper I had at the beach that was surprisingly, like, it was really good, even though we were getting scammed, because it's Boca Chica, and if you're in DR and if you know how Boca Chica's like this was really my first experience with Boca Chica in a long time, because it's like, it's fun out there, but you gotta you gotta have a real tough spirit, because people haggle and they hustle you. So we got hustled a little bit, and we thought we were going to a restaurant, and they were like, and the guy came and he's like, yeah, come this way. Trying to figure out where it was. And I was with my cousin. She knows the place. Well, she knows that, she's from there. She knows the area. Or at least she knows Santo Domingo. She didn't know Boca Chica. So he was like, all right, just get a seat down. We got a thing here. We got the best stuff. We got the best pina coladas. So there are these guys that go. There are these people that go on the beach in Boca Chica. There's these dudes that are there, and they got like a fake menu. They got like a menu that they print, that they roll up into a square. And they just make food on the beach and pretend it's a restaurant, and then they overcharge you for everything. And the food isn't usually that good. I mean, it's good. I thought it was really good. If you were a foreigner and you had that, you would be like, this is the best food I ever had in my life. I could see how there were some things they could have improved on, but the bigger issue is more so that they're just taking a long time bullshitting. not really bullshitting, but they were just kind of hustling us in a way. Um, Literally that made us think that they were taking us to the restaurant, and then hustled us. They pulled up seats, like they get beach chairs and beach tables, and they're like, just sit here. We got you. Here's what we got. We have the best thing. And then they overcharge the shit out of you. And, and it's like it's honestly like a funny experience. And honestly, like as much as like I recognize that, um, like as much as I recognize we got hustled, that fucking fish was good. I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck. I wish I would have taken more of it home. It was delicious. It was. I mean, my cousin said it was over seasoned. I like over seasoned, bro. Give me seasoning. So I don't know. It was really good. And I also had like great croquetas de pollo. Oh, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and talk to you guys about food for an hour, but I could. One soul. How is the technological advancement going to affect the society as a whole? Will it be progressing or end up being a mindless scrolling spiral? I don't know. I mean, there's no way to predict the future. I think there's definitely a lot of negatives that are being brought to light, but when negatives pile on in societies, people's get disoriented, they get tired, they get scared, and eventually the society sort of pulls apart. And so I do think things are going to end. A lot of things are going to end and fall apart, and there's gonna be some crazy shit. But at the for lack of a better term, anyway, there's gonna be some wild shit going on. But sorry, it's a creaky chair, and I accidentally pulled down my woof. But there is also a potential for a lot of great stuff to happen. That's just kind of how I look at it. I don't know. Catching Z's. Hey, I have like 4 to 7 major ones. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Let me see if I can get these through quickly. In a white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal society, is it ethical to invest in vehicles and practice wealth accumulation with the normative intent to dismantle capitalism using market power, becoming a petty bourgeoisie? Or is it antithetical because of class interests possibly being against the working class people? It is not entitled. It's not exactly ethical, but it's understandable. And petty bourgeoisie with class consciousness can become, part of a revolutionary movement. So it's more so about, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. If you're going to end up making money, of course, like that's kind of where we go. That's kind of what our goals are, is like, hey, I want to make like a 200K a year and have a nice car. But, we do that because that is where we feel like we're going to be safe and we're going to be protected. But that doesn't also, that's not 100% true, but it is understandable. And I think it's something that it makes sense to aim for personally, even though politically there are issues there. But until there's a real movement, I also like there's movements, but like, I guess what I'm saying is I wouldn't worry about it so much. Just when the moment comes for you to realize your revolutionary potential in some way, whether it's a moment or it's a lifestyle change, that the best thing to do is to move down that path. And when you make the decision to not move down that path and to start asserting the power dynamics the other way, then that's when you become truly antithetical. Is it possible to create passive income without mass exploitation with the aim of living a comfortable life without exploiting others? Passive income itself is like a shaky idea, because it's like, where's that money coming from? If you don't really have some level of work that you're doing, it's not going to be coming your way unless you're getting over on somebody. But if you're doing something like investing, that's sometimes considered passive income, but that takes labor. It takes you studying, not really labor, but it takes education, and it takes time, and it takes work. So it's not labor in the traditional sense, but it's also not capital accumulation. No, well, it can be, but it's not necessarily, capitalizing on a labor force in the same way either, because it's literally just like trading these empty entities on a platform through a broker to make money. So it's like, I would say almost always the answer is always going to end up in exploitation somewhere, but there are definitely better ways to do it and worse ways to do it. There's for me the line is drawn when you're like actively participating in in a corporate entity, like you're if you're a majority shareholder of a Fortune 500 company, I feel like the jig is up. But if it's like you're trading stocks on an app, like who gives a fuck? Or if it's like, you're I don't really know. I don't really want to speak on real estate too much because that's iffy, but there's things you can do. You just have to sort of take that accounting for yourself and see, like, am I hurting somebody right now? Like, is there somebody getting exploited? Am I getting over on somebody right now? So yeah, it's complicated. What theories created by theorists concerning socialism do you agree with or disagree with philosophically and practically, and why? So that's like not really a question, more so than it's like an ideological presentation, and I would say, like, theories concerning socialism, do I agree with? I think one of the interesting things that I was listening to on the way here, I love this podcast, What's Left of Philosophy, and they were having a discussion on Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, and they were talking about how his idea of how Marxism sort of stopped, in the sense that it was a philosophy of its time that did not get surmounted by an incoming philosophy, but that its progress sort of seemed to stop working, in the sense that it stopped sort of being representative of the peoples that were to be represented by, like, of the people of the time and of a certain condition. And he was talking about, they were talking about, sort of, for lack of a better word, the idea of a oversimplification of Marxism, wherein it's sort of a déjà entendu, is a term that was used, where it's like you have this idea. You have a lot of Marxists that have this idea, like, anytime they see something, they're like, oh yeah, that's simple. Oh, there's a problem over there. Simple. It's class exploitation. It's you got to be class conscious, and oh, your girlfriend broke up with you. Such is life for the exploited man under capitalist society. There's just this thing of, like, I see anything and I'm just going to impose this very basic Marxist framework over it. I understand everything. Game over. Haha. Which is very much not how this is supposed to work. And I am, if you could call that a reductionism, but I don't think it's really a reductionism so much as it is, literally just like a lack of learning. A lack of opening oneself up to learning about the specifics of situations, and learning more about how things work in a deeper sense. Not to sort of say, like, to look away from Marxism. I mean, there's not much there to look away from. Always, ultimately, like, whatever we come up with politically is going to come back down to class struggle and a lot of ideas that were proposed by Marx and worked on after him. But it's definitely the idea of, like, imposing a type of idea, a type of quick solutionary idea of how exactly the thing works, that I'm opposed to. That's the kind of thing that you see, like, from reactionary elements on Twitter or whatever. Tankies. I like black Marxists. I like post-colonial Marxists, I guess you could say. I like Marxist thought that is open and that is critical, and I don't like tankies. or I guess tanky is like an open term, and it's a bit of incendiary stuff. What is your opinion on transforming personal development, self-help, into focusing more on the collective rather than the individual to achieve goals that are either personal, political, or both? Is such a thing possible? Creating a genre of this nature that people adhere to? Yes. I mean, in short, I think that that's very possible, and I think that's something that is essentially a goal of the channel. Essentially a goal of the work that I'm doing is to understand psychology and understanding one's own life in the spectrum of understanding the collective and empowering the collective. 4, what is your book recommendations for this thought? So we went over that. Recommendations for how to use personal agency to disrupt oppressive systems. Organizing is what I thought of. Yeah, I mean, like, those are sort of organizing is like an abstract term. Mutual aid is an abstract term. Politics is a very hard thing to do. It's a very weird thing to do nowadays. But the biggest thing, if you want to use your personal agency to do something, you have to recognize that the personal isn't really that important in terms of the large scale political action. You're just one of many, and that's the beauty of it, and that's also the fucking bit. Let me say the struggle of it, and that's something that you have to reconcile in yourself, and so that's part of the self-help process. But it's also part of the process of like, let me be my pure self, right? Let me be pure. How do you carve out time to read and understand socialist stuff, to stop, process, and understand it, and express it in layperson terms? What is your process personally? How do I do it? I don't know. I listen to a lot of podcasts because when I'm on the move a lot, like commuting to work or traveling in this instance, you get something in your headphones that you get to chew on and think about. So that definitely helps me a lot. When I'm reading something that is dense and that is like a historically important text, there's usually some great lecture series on YouTube that you can follow. Right now, as I read Capital, I follow David Harvey's lectures on Capital. And so that's a huge recommendation that I have, even though David Harvey himself is a little bit elevated in what he's talking about. It's definitely a lot easier to follow David Harvey than it is to just follow Marx, when you're just jumping on it, raw dogging it. Great questions. Thank you for the support. Marxism aside, any thoughts about Karl himself? Didn't know the guy, to be honest, so I don't know. Side egg unnecessary. What would you do for a Klondike bar? Man, I would probably, I don't know. I would jog a mile for a Klondike bar. Lisa Zuza, any advice on making essay commentary videos? I get nervous and I don't know why. Great question, Elisa. Who I hope is here, but probably isn't. Elisa is somebody who's I've gotten in contact with recently. Because she's following the channel and she's doing her own thing. And my advice is work on your peace, your inner peace. Work on being peaceful with yourself. Work on being compassionate with yourself and your audience. When you're harboring stress and you're harboring anger in this thing, you're gonna fucking lose it. Like it's gonna rip you apart. So I try every single time that I do this to come at it with this like kind, compassionate vibe and understanding and not judgmental vibe. And the way that I do that is through understanding finding my spiritual guidance and just the way everything is. Like my goal is to live life with as much loving kindness in each moment as I am capable of. And if you do that, like that'll resolve a lot of the mental anguish and the nerves. Cole, what relationship do you have at work? What did you do in the past? What would you like to do one day? I always am like I want to have work. I want to do work. I take pride in doing work, but I also am lazy. I like not working too. So my thing is I want to be flexible. I want to have time. What did I do in the past? I have worked in all types of places. I've worked in serving cupcakes and ice cream. I've worked as a student worker, like in student life. I have worked in a journalism, like in a online magazine for a few months as part of an editorial staff. I worked as a freelance journalist. There's other stuff that I'm forgetting too. I did that caption thing online once where you had to try to type out captions for videos and you get paid per word, but it's like super funky and hard. There's a really good video that somebody did on recently that made me like, oh god, like reminisce on that horrible time, that like horrible week that I did that. And then I got kicked out and I was like, shit, I made like $40, but there I go. What do you think about hatred? Okay, well that's it. What would I like to do one day? This, I guess. I don't really have a huge one day. Maybe I'd like to be a professor. I'd like to be a professor. I'd like to write books. That would be cool. I'd like to make music and tour a little bit. Although, travel is hard. I would love to, but I would love to make music and make money off of music and tour a little bit and see people and do like lecture music concert combos. Lisa, again, what's up? How to stay confident with YouTube when you're starting small with not a big audience? Oh man, that's such a wholesome question. I remember that time period where we didn't have anybody. Thumbnails. Study thumbnails and study titles. Study the thumbnails and titles that are popping around you, that you're noticing, that you're clicking on, that you're attentive to, that you're noticing are getting big views. And that obviously includes the topics of the videos themselves to a degree, but literally the titles and the thumbnails are gonna be like 80% of the work. If you have a great title and a great thumbnail, not 80%, but maybe like 66% of the work. Great title, great thumbnail, and then the rest is making the video as good as possible. So just focus on getting really good at making titles, thumbnails, and then making the video entertaining and efficient. You know, I wouldn't say like you want to necessarily do 20-minute videos like me or 5-minute videos like somebody else, but whatever time period it is that you find your audience might want the most, or that you feel like makes the best product, don't overdo it necessarily. I mean, don't worry too. I mean, if your style is to ramble on too, there's a lot of people that do pretty well with that. But like efficiency really works because people have short attention spans. People wants to feel like their time is being spent in a nice way. So just be really compassionate with your potential audience and thinking about like what the video is going to provide for them in a moment, you know. And when you have a good title and thumbnail, then they'll click on it, and then when your video comes on, they're gonna see something and they're gonna be like, oh wow, that's really nice. Oh wow, that's really interesting. Oh wow, that's really cool. Oh wow, that's horrible. You know, what I do for work right now, I tutor. To be clear, Flunk it. What do you think about hatred to popular fandoms like furries, Dream SMP, Bluey, etc.? I mean, furries are an interesting. Like, could you consider furries a fandom? I would say furries are more a community that have fandom aspects, but they're just a community in and of themselves. Look, I don't think it's good to hate. I don't think it's good to hate people. I might be biased there. I know I might be going out on a limb. I know Roram Dean has a video that's like why it's good to be a hater or whatever. I haven't watched it. I assumed that I wasn't going to like it, so I just didn't watch it because I just don't like hate. I just don't like hating. You know, there's nothing that you can do while hating that would be better, that would be worse, that would be better than like anything you would do the same way without hate. That's just like I criticize people all the time on this channel, and I try to do it without hate because the hate doesn't give me anything. It just makes me angry, makes my points worse. It makes me more lack compassion for my audience, and lack compassion for the people around me, and lack compassion for myself. Compassion is very important. And so understanding fandoms, I understand a lot of fandoms are really annoying, but like just because something is annoying doesn't mean you have to hate it. You can just kind of learn about it or deal with it or move on, you know. That's my short answer. Comrade, have you read The Communist Necessity by J. Mufode Paul? No, but I will put it on the reading list. 9-part, how do you feel about Borzois? Didn't he do it for you? I don't know what the didn't he do it for you part is, but I like Borzois. I know that they're oh the TikTok sound. The TikTok. I know it's for you. Is it that one? They're really cute. I love animals. I love Borzois. Cole, do you have hope for the future? Are things gonna change for the better during the course of our lifetime or not? I don't have hope. I'm also, you know, I don't like hope. I don't think hope is really hope is cope, right? Hope is like it's an attachment to a particular possibility that gets you out of the present. I focus on the present. I don't know what the hell the future is. I don't know what's going to happen 10 minutes from now. But I am present in this moment. There's a thing of things over there. A thing of things. Look how present I am. My old wallet is sitting over there. There's headphones here. There's a big mess behind me. There's stuff I want to clean. That's more important to me because if we don't focus on the present, the fucking future's fucked anyway. So you might as well focus on the present. There's like a reply. I don't know if I should read the reply. More specifically, I'm talking about global political organization, the climate crisis we're into. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it's. I mean, the climate doesn't look good, right? Politics doesn't look good, but who are we to say what good or bad is? The only thing that we can do is just try our best to provide something positive and healing and to the people around us, and the only way to do that is to be positive. So I'm not really a hope person. I don't think hope. I think hope, you know, it leads to so much disappointment and bitterness. I would rather say like things are. And I am, and let's, you know what I mean? What a great answer. I'm so good at this. I don't know. I really like your modern commentary on stuff. Thank you. At least Eli Sass. How much Riz would you say you have? Just like a little Riz, like a little Riz. Sham, hooray! What's up, Sham? Dream Brush. What is love? Oh, baby, don't hurt me. Baby, don't hurt me no more. What's your favorite color? What? Asks Mia beloved. My favorite color right now is my favorite color right now. You know what? It's green. I like green. Okay, so let's answer the chat. So everybody send me questions in the chat. I'm gonna scroll up and read your chat messages and stuff like that. Do. Feel free to send a super chat if there's particularly something that you want to stand out, because I'm gonna miss most of the stuff that you guys send. Did you work before YouTube? Are you still working? I'm still working. I'm tutoring. If you ever run out of ideas for content, you can always make reaction videos. Yeah, I'm gonna do like reaction streams maybe too. So I'll have one of those guys that compiles my content and gets a lot more views. Social media is not practice. It sure isn't. Gong hei fat choi. There you go. I used to be very anti pineapple on pizza, but my friend converted me, so I like it now. What do you think about pineapple on pizza? I like pineapple on pizza with a good smoked pork product. That is my key. If you put pineapple on pizza and you get some good pepperonis with it, and then you put like a good hot red sauce on it, like a Valentina Black Label, or like some good chipotle or something, it really works. It really does taste very good. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I would still rather have other forms of pizza first. But it's very good, and I don't think it's really productive to be hateful towards pineapple on pizza. You know, resist tradition, embrace modernity. You know what I mean? To pineapple, not to pineapple. Corn pizza, okay, that's too much. Where are you guys from? I'm from New York. Where are y'all from? Let me know in the chat as you ask your question. The pressure on, there's a chat. Sweet potato pizza, I might try that. I know it for you. That's in my head now. Oh, hi, Karina. Hi. Yeah, feel free to ask more questions. Ironically, my highlight today's Elliot stream. That just made my day. Barb and Star is it's very comfy, right? I think it's really comfy. That's a nice way to say that. This is your first try with YouTube. Have you tried it before? I've tried it before. I've failed many times. Your channel is so versatile. You're so consistent. Y'all are so kind. You guys are so kind. Sumi, you're so kind. You mentioned getting some of your hair. Oh, that's for Michael Jackson. Forever. Now I remember why I don't smoke weed in public. Very anxious, but fine. Smoking weed in public it's a mixed bag, man. It's a mixed bag. What do you think of prefiguration? What is prefiguration? Prefiguration. A vague representation of or suggestion of something. In the Bible, a relationship between. I don't know. I don't really understand. I don't really understand the question. Yeah, Jean-Paul Sartre. Sartre. Jean-Paul Sartre. Worst part about living in the U.S. is the fact, this is Doom 269. The worst part about living in the U.S. is the fact that everyone around me is unconvinced about the issues of capitalism, and it makes me feel very lonely. Do you feel similarly? I feel like I'm around a lot of people that have like vague ideas, like, oh yeah, capitalism is bad, but they don't really know exactly how to articulate that or what commitments to make on behalf of that. And a lot of them are feeling very attached to some of these ideas of capitalism, and I get it. And I don't necessarily feel lonely about it because I'm there with them. I'm here for them. And I'm gonna keep giving people what I feel. Do you have any good podcast recs like that? I would say What's Left of Philosophy is a great podcast. I like the one I've recommended for the self-help video, which is it's not all in your head. There's a great one about African and Indian philosophers that I just started listening to, and it is called History of Indian and African and Africana Philosophy by Peter Adamson, Jonardon Ganeri, and Chike Jeffers. From an outside perspective, or at least I would describe how the U.S. at this point reminds me of the late Roman Republic mixed with the Weimar Republic. Interesting. Yeah, Maya. Oh, yeah, Maya. Did I miss all of the older questions? Let me see what people have submitted since then. Would you ever make a video on xenophobia? Maybe. I've thought about that. I'm just looking for my angle, looking for my vibe on that. You know, but I would say that it's something that's on my mind. It's just so very complicated, and it's not necessarily the thing that I have the best perspective on, because I'm not culturally, I don't have a lot of grounding in Chinese cultures, in any Chinese cultures. I am Dominican culturally and ethnically. I'm just also Chinese a little bit. Where and how did you learn about philosophy stuff? Basically on my own, you know, starting with Marx and starting with seeing things on Twitter, and then being like, I want to start reading stuff. And so just trying, you know, just starting from nothing. What's a video you wished you made? Like you wanted to make a video about a certain topic, but then someone else made it before you did. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I sometimes have those moments for sure. I think Madison Brown has this new video about autism that is gonna be kind of related to what I'm talking about with ADHD, and it's something that I'm gonna shout out. And that was definitely one that was like, oh, you know, like that's a good topic, right? But I don't necessarily get too envious of stuff like that. What's my top 3 favorite dog breeds? Oh, I mean, I just love dogs, bro. I don't really care about the breeds too much. Just give me the dogs, bro. Get the dogs out. Who let the dogs out? Oh. Not really a question, but I really like the way you present your own masculinity in front of the camera. That was the first thing that drew me in. Oh, thanks, Noah. Oh, see that I knew about so much in the content creator sphere. I try to be like masculine in my own way. You know, I've always felt like more effeminate in a lot of ways, like more connected with women, but still being like a cishet guy. But like a lot of the people that I relate with are women. And there's a lot of things to that. So what I end up coming up with is just this weird mix of things that's just very me. How old am I? I'm 26. Is there something you know? Is there something everyone you know does but don't realize and it annoys you? Oh, that's fun. Just be really being really judgmental. That's something I would say. I always get mad about judgmental stuff. Hi, hair looking great. So many congrats on all the recent success. Thank you, Kari K. I need to rescue Chihuahua. I would love it. I mean, I have my cat, so I'm busy with her. One of these days, I'll fly into the sky and look for the eye in my mind. That is interesting. Interested how Hope Denier approaches hope. I mean, I obviously like. I obviously mean my tangent on hope in a different way that does not include being like repulsed by J-Hope's concept of bringing people hope. How would you recommend getting started writing, making videos, articles, and music? That's the first question. From Freddie Gormack Smith. So I would say there's a lot of good. One thing about social media that's really good is that you can go on YouTube and just start looking stuff up, and there's videos all over the place that teach you like, hey, here's how you start writing. Like, here's how to write academically. If you look up academic writing, there's so many good insights on that. So I'd look up academic writing. I would make sure that you learn how to write academically, because writing just from a creative writing standpoint can be helpful, but that's more commentary, and that's going to restrict a lot of the capacity that you have to really research and look for deeper insights and empirical insights in your writing. And like academic writing, um, is something a bit different from academic language, which we talked about. Academic writing is more talking about the structure of writing a piece of academic work for school or for a research group or capacity, as a professional. And I think that there's a lot in it that is really helpful. And then when you make your video essays, you can take out the stuff that you don't like about academic writing and then keep the concepts that you do like. So that I would definitely start like getting a good grounding in academic writing, understanding some different academic language as well, reading some different academic work. Get yourself into the academic sphere, into the philosophical sphere, inculcate yourself with some of that, so that you get that feeling, and you're gonna get that feeling too of like, damn, I'm too fucking far, I don't know nearly enough about this. But then that allows you to treat your video essay making process as something that I was talking about earlier and take a lot of pride in, or to have a lot of joy in, as a process of learning yourself through almost like in a scholastic environment where you're submitting essays or submitting assignments every week or every couple weeks, and that is part of your process of learning through your teacher's assignments. You give yourself assignments every week. You say, I'm going to talk about this topic that interests me, and I'm going to do it this way. And then you make yourself do it, and it doesn't come out great, or it doesn't come out perfect. Maybe it comes out really good, but you don't see it. But you do it, and then you get better. So that's sort of, if you approach the processes that you're doing as like a process of you learning and growing while doing it, rather than just like you're good at it, so you do it and then it comes out good, it's way, way better that way. Tips for BTS fans wanting to branch out into wider hip-hop. Hip-hop is gigantic. So if you listen to, Hip-Hop File is right there, of course, if you want to get into the stuff that influenced BTS when they started making hip-hop records, when RM started making hip-hop records. They're talking about a lot of classic hip-hop on there. But you also have to understand where your taste is and where your biases are and what knowledges you might not be having, and figure out what your way of getting into stuff is. Do you like reading books? Do you like watching documentaries? There's some great books about hip-hop. Questlove has a great book that he wrote with somebody else, where there's like stories behind hip-hop albums. So if you're into like reading nonfiction books about music, that's a great thing. Hip-hop is so vast. You can also watch like there's a great series on Netflix where it goes through like the histories of hip-hop. I think it's from Canada. Like, that is really helpful. It's good to know the fucking history. You want to know the history of stuff, I think, especially with something so valuable and important like hip-hop. You want to know the history. You want to know who Kool Herc is. You want to know how rapping came about, and what the roots of rap are. Those are things that can really guide you as well. And then other than that, you listen for leisure. So you just find stuff that works for you on your own time. Am I making that noise? Yeah, I'm making a lot of noises. I tend to do that a lot. I'm sorry. So, okay. A lot of academical writing can still be visibly subjective. Yeah, it can be visibly subjective. It's clearly pointed to our opinions, but it's doing so in a way that's a lot more compelling because of how it incorporates different empirical research and incorporates more understanding of one's own perspective when doing the academic writing, which is something that I think is maybe the biggest thing that I really enjoy about it, is that it comes... Good academic writing is obvious. It's very self-aware. It goes through that process of saying, these are our findings. These are what we didn't find. These are the things that we don't understand. These are the things that we want other people to understand. These are the things that other people will have to pick up from us. These are the limits. With that said, it's looking like this, like there's a lot of academic writing that will be basically that. And that's a really valuable skill to have, not only because of how convincing and good it is for your work, but also because it's a way better way to think about things, is to say, look, I understand, like, I'm not God. I can't tell you exactly what's in the vaccines or everything about vaccination, but it's looking like this based off of this evidence, based off of this empirical research. When you can do that, it's really important. And journalism is also a huge field. There's a huge field of understanding different things about journalism as well. But you can learn so much about journalism as well if that's a career path that you want to get into, or sort of your direction with videos, through academic work and through understanding things about academic writing. Yeah, that sounds great, Freddie. I would really be down for that. And it just makes you more articulate. I had no idea you love BTS, new subscriber, but I've been wondering why I vibe with you so much. It all makes sense now. Yeah, BTS are like my favorite artists. They're definitely up there for sure. It's funny how YouTube is social media, but nobody really considers it to be social media. Yeah, because it's less social and it's more like a giant network. It's a giant TV network of all these things. I found you through your generation trauma video, and it's something that I truly needed as a child of immigrants. Never really had immigrant friends that can relate. Lol. Man, that's tough. I'm so sorry to hear that, Marcy, but I'm so glad that I was able to help you in some way. Oh, yeah, my, yeah. How old is the famous cat? Like my cat? My cat is like, ooh, we were just talking about this. So she's gonna be 4, I think, this year. She's gonna be, nope, she's gonna be 5 this year. Like 5 this next winter. She's 4 right now. She's like 4. Is this, oh, I saw that one. What's your top 5 favorite dog breeds? I saw that one. Did you go to college? What was your major? I went to college. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in journalism and new media studies. You should collab with Ola Samvia. I'd be down. Ola Samvia has some real good stuff. Oh, Yamaya. Yamaya. Oh, Yamaya. Aguanile. Aguanile. Any advice for upcoming adults going? Sorry, I do that. Any advice for upcoming adults going into the real world? Okay. I was talking about this with my girlfriend, and basically saying like, you're never ready. You're never ready. So just go in. Like, if there's something that you want to do or there's something that you need to get done, yes, it can be good to give yourself some time to learn about it, to feel it out before you start doing it. But ultimately, you're never going to be fully ready and you're going to fuck up. So you need to start fucking up as soon as possible so that you can get it out of the way and start learning from those fuck ups and start getting that confidence. So literally just like find the confidence somewhere in you if you've got to. Make it up if you don't have it sometimes, but literally just go do it. And a lot of the time, you'll go in thinking, man, I'm about to do this. It's going to be so difficult. And then you start and you're like, oh shit, it wasn't that hard. Like, oh, I just went to the grocery store, bought groceries, prepared the groceries, prepared some stuff and cooked a dish. Shit, that wasn't that hard. Like, oh my God, like that was actually kind of fun, right? Sometimes it's going to be like, holy shit, I'm never going to get this, right? But there's just a need for us to really get out of the freeze mode. And start really finding a way to push the button that says get up and then go, so I really recommend you do that. Oh, you talking about academic writing and hip-hop made me think they're quite similar in some ways, as in there's a lot more explicit citing than in other genres. That's true. There is an academic nature to hip-hop in a certain way, even in places where people don't necessarily see it. I think that's part of what makes hip-hop so great. Pretty good advice on confidence. Yeah, I mean, like, Just Do It by Nike, like, is a shitty motto, and yet it's also kind of good. Michael Jackson Forever has like a 2-parter, so I'm gonna wait. Map of the Soul is so life changing. Great records. I'm scared to make video essays because I feel dumb. Well, I need to tell you something. A lot of the video essays that you think are really good also feel dumb. They just don't care as much. They just don't let it stop them. Because again, like, you're in the process. So if you do something, you make a video essay, right? And let's say you're not like trying to be a shitty person, right? You're not doing anything that's outwardly just like, wow, that sucked. You didn't just like insult this. This is part of why having compassion is great, because sometimes people get confident and they start talking shit and they start being very outward and aggressive about a particular point of view. Like, yeah, if you believe this, you're the worst person in the world. And then 2 years later, they find out, oh, wow, it's a lot more complicated than that. Shouldn't have said that. And that's the kind of thing that when you have compassion in your heart to say, you know what, I'm just going to be there with love for people, even when I really don't understand them or agree with them at all. even when I'm going to literally be their political opponent and make sure that they don't succeed in anything that they do. um, I'm going to do it compassionately in the sense that I'm not going to dehumanize them. It really makes a lot easier to be confident. It's so much easier to be confident when you just allow yourself to be a good person. When you just push yourself to be like open-hearted and compassionate. Not a good person in the sense that like you do everything for other people, you don't care about yourself, because that's not being a good person. That's just being, a pushover, right? That's being, an escapist of your own problems. But if you're a good if you're open-hearted and compassionate as much as possible, and you don't say mean things about people as much as possible, and you don't do really bad stuff, you're going to be a lot more confident in those situations, because you're not basing your confidence off of any type of superiority over anybody. You're basing it off of a feeling of love, Hell yeah. Just to kick things off in the super chat arena. Oh, that's very kind of you, Noah. Congrats on 30K. Thank you, What's Therapy. Great name. Yes, compassion is the key. Would you want to live in a different state, country? A lot of people dream of living in New York, so it's interesting whether New Yorkers dream of other places as well. I dream of a New York that is better than this. I would love to live in New York. Honestly, it would be great to live in New York as much as possible. I love Queens. I wouldn't mind going to different parts of Queens, if I have to, which may be very likely. I love Queens. I don't necessarily love other parts of New York as much, but they're cool too. But we need better for our people, and there's a certain point where it might not be tenable anymore, And there's a lot of beautiful stuff out there, so I'll be very interested in going to Cali, or going to somewhere warm in the U.S. Let's say, Virginia Beach or some, which I don't know if it's very warm, Miami or some. I don't know. There's a lot of great places, so I'll definitely be open-hearted about that, and just let things sort of play out, go with the flow. But it'd be kind of a shame if I'd have to leave New York. I love New York. See ya, Afro. Prefiguration is relating to anarchism and other leftist ideas. It's something I gotta look up. When race is a factor. Oh. Okay, so Michael Jackson Forever's question. Okay, so what do you think about? Damn, it's been years and I still can't throw around the world, or throw around like English-speaking folks do. What do you think about the constant mention of race potentially having an effect where it might divide more than actually bridge gaps? So it's a fascinating sort of dynamic. I think not to be lazy about it, but I do go back to compassion. When I talk about race, I try to talk about race compassionately. I try to look at it and say, hey, like if I'm experiencing, or if I'm observing an issue of racism, which to me has a socio-political power dynamic, right? When we talk about racism. Now, I also understand racism in the more colloquial sense of like just prejudice against people of different racializations. But when I look at racism and I look at oppression based on race, I try to present my thoughts on it, and approach it from a state of compassion, from a state of wow, how much suffering must be happening, and I bring that up because a lot of the race discourse, we often just go back to like, especially if you're used to Twitter you're used to Twitter, you're used to social media discussions of race. You're used to people being extremely fucking flippant about it. I don't think people would be so flippant about it. I don't think people would be as divided by race if people weren't so flippant about discussing race. And that's not to say that I don't understand, for instance, an oppressed person talking about race and talking about racial oppression that they experience in what can be perceived as a flippant way. But what I would say is that the issue comes more so when the compassion feels lost, and it feels more as if we are trying to build a political grounding on a type of racial antagonism. the greatest scholars on race are people who ultimately, you know, had no interest in establishing a type of racial superiority. It's about actually ending the idea of a type of superiority and inequality based on race. So trying to draw people in based off of understanding a mutual human condition and understanding like, wow, this is a type of suffering that's occurring that we should be there for, we should be compassionate for, makes that a lot easier. With that being said, you're always going to divide folks. You can't worry too much about what people are going to perceive. You can't worry too much about people being divided, because if you know what you're doing is right, and if you know that you're ultimately working to try to heal somebody, or you're working to try to heal a community or help a community or distribute resources, then you gotta be able to look at somebody who feels put off by you, or who's, a type of divided situation, and say, you know what, it's okay. It'll sort itself out. Right now, this is more important. I think the problem is more so when people are like really focused on the division and not focused on getting the thing done. Whether that's for the case of like, oh, I don't want to divide people, or whether that's for the case of like, oh, I really want to divide people. Like, I really feel like pissing off some East Asian people today. I really feel like talking about how bad they are. Like, it's just the kind of thing that you do. There's no real working through of oppression there. It's really just a type of flippant, angry reaction, a type of expression of pain that doesn't help the pain so much as like cry for help. Not to be too judgmental, but I guess that's the whole thing, is like, I try to approach race from a standpoint of like being compassionate about the issues within race, within the context of race. Is racial antagonism a thing, though? Genuine question. I mean, I don't know. When I say antagonism, I'm talking about conflict between groups, between interest groups, right? And so when we talk about race, when we talk about racial, we're talking about people's racialization, because there is no genetic component of race. There is no biology of race. It is completely made up. It is a classification of people based off of their phenotype, their name, but especially the way that they look, right? And with that said, groups are then formed, classes mediated through those views. And so what you have is then groups sort of form that have political character based off of their racialization. And then those groups have antagonism within themselves and with other groups. And so what we talk about then with race is, what we talk about is many different approaches to trying to erode that racialization, so that those groups no longer have those divided characters of antagonism amongst themselves, and more can see themselves within groups that are previously viewed as different characterizations. That's part of what the beauty of like something like Black solidarity and negritude is the idea of like, there's a common solidarity we can build here. There is no need for us to have this continuous breakage where we have all these different political characters of different groups that form of all these different Black people. That was what I took from Césaire in my limited understanding. And when you do that, then that group can speak, and then that group can say certain things about its racialization that can help erode that racialization to where eventually that consolidation can happen, where there's not really a need for that political for that group with a political character to exist. That's sort of my perception of it. But like ultimately, when it comes to race, or when it comes to things like that, while there's a bit of a problem to me in like over genealogy, like anthropologizing it and being like, this is how people are, right? Like, I'm not really into doing the whole like, this is how race works. It's a subhuman view of this person. Like, I don't really view it as that anymore. necessarily. I see racism as sort of a character of intentionally sown prejudice and divide amongst amongst oppressed classes of people, that is intentionally and unintentionally worked on by people with power over them. But ultimately, like acknowledging the problem is part of how the problem gets solved. So if you don't acknowledge it, then that problem isn't going to go away. Now we are doing the work to figure out how to acknowledge it better and then how to address it better. And that's the great question of the times. It's really interesting how people see race. For example, I look Asian, but I was born and raised in Russia and have a white name, so I have advantage of people over people who don't speak Russian. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like races. That's the thing about race, is that racialization is just so dumb. Like, it's just, for lack of a better term, it's just very dumb. Like, it's very ignorant. It's not based on anything. It's based on literally like literally that whole thing of like, it's how the cops see you. Like, whatever the cops see when they pull you over, which is kind of wild for people to understand outside of the U.S. because policing has a lot of different, like, policing in the U.S. is very different from policing in other countries, even though policing is problematic generally everywhere. Institutionally, you know what I mean? It really that is the thing. You know, it's like, what do people see within you, especially people with power? Because that's what makes racialization, and that's what racialization is. And of course, the answer to that is not always one answer. It's usually a mix. You know, it's not necessarily, you know, that it's always going to be everybody thinks I'm Asian, because there are also different types of views of Asian. You know, part of the complexity is part of what makes it so difficult. But it's ultimately very pointless. Like, it's very ignorant. It's a sowing of ignorance. Being a bi/multiracial person, sorry, not sure which, I would say multiracial. But like, I mean, race is ultimately phenotype, right? So I would say I'm like a mixed Asian, racially. Ethnically, I'm like very mixed, but I'm like a mixed Asian. Do you have any advice for productive conversations around race and multiracial and multi-ethnic families? I would say working on that. Like, working first on establishing what race is, which is what racialization is, which is what people see in you, you know? Like, talking to your family about, like, hey, like, look, like, I know I got you on my side and you're black, and you on this side and you're white, and you on this side and you're Asian, whatever. You on this side and you're from here. But this is how I look, and this is how I'm perceived, and how are you perceived? And, like, where do you think that plays a role, you know? There's no doubt in my mind that I'm racialized as Asian. You know, if I had any doubt in my mind, going to Santo Domingo for 6 days has certainly eased that doubt. There is no doubt in my mind that motherfuckers look at me and see Asian, right? Especially when they see my name alongside that, although not the full name, just like the Elliot sang, you know, first and last. That's when they're like, you know, it's pretty clear. And then that informs you. It's like, oh, so that's how this works, you know? So that's what this is. And then from there, you just work with that, you know? And you have that conversation based on that. I love it when non-Americans tell me they don't see me as black, but their behavior toward me definitely shows me they also still see me as other than them. So what's the difference for me? Nothing. I guess it's, other can be a lot of different things ultimately, right? Could be indigenous, like, you know, and indigenous people are othered. East Asian people are othered. South Asian people are othered. North Asian people are othered. West Asian people are othered. Otherization is very subjective to the placement. You can be in one place and othered is one thing, and then another place and othered is another thing. And then for some people, you can go to a place and not feel othered at all, not particularly seem to be othered at all, and that's awesome. Well, it must feel nice. But ultimately, that otherization is a very pungent and very difficult thing. I'm Venezuelan, but I have Portuguese citizenship and pale skin. I found that to others, my race changes from Latino to white depending on what fits the person's narrative. Yeah, it's all about the moment. It's all about what they know about you. You know, I was just talking to a person I went to high school with the other day, and he was like, yeah, you know, they see me and they might think, like, he lives in Denmark now, and he's like a white Dominican guy, and he's like, yeah, people see me, and they like kind of like, oh, he might be one of us, maybe, but they're kind of like, he looks a little different, but he seems like he may be one of us. And then they hear me talk, and they're like, oh, because he has an accent, right? Like, he has a particularly Latino accent, like the particularly Dominican accent. He's not 100% like he's fluent in English, but he's not, you know, it's not his first language. He has a name that's a certain way, and then he notices that otherization, and that's different from a racialization of a specific kind. It's not that they see him as black, but they definitely see him as other, and it's not necessarily, you might start doing the very problematic but, you know, completely understandable thing of like tier listing and be like, well, that's like a B level otherization. It's not the worst, right? But at the same time, otherization is otherization. I mean, you'd be surprised, like, motherfuckers get racist over the weirdest, smallest things. Like, it really happens. You know, like, just being sorry, I keep whacking the table. Just seeing like East Asian people interact with each other, seeing like K-pop groups talk about skin color with amongst them, like, and be like, oh my god, you're so dark, and it's like a dude who looks exactly the same as them. It really reaffirms like how like otherizing is such a almost natural thing for us. We get fed so much of it, and it just comes out no matter how minute the detail may be. Do you think a certain amount of racial pride is useful in how we all present ourselves? No. I would say like not a. I would say that like a racial pride maybe, like, I think like not necessarily no, but like kind of like not necessarily is, I guess, what I would say. Like the pride in your ethnicity and your background, your cultural background, is going to be a lot more pungent and helpful than any sort of pride in like, I look like this, like, because that's ultimately aesthetic. It's ultimately feels facetious to who you really feel that for who you are, right? Again, because race is so dumb. Like, racism is specifically very ignorant and unscientific, and so basing a type of pride solely in that, not aside, you know, the socialization aspect makes it different, but solely based in like, yeah, I look like this, that just makes you sound like, you know, like you just end up racializing, you know, you end up reasserting race to yourself, you know, like when, you know, again, to use the example of K-pop groups, like there's Orientalism in K-pop a lot, and how K-pop groups present themselves to the West, and it's this type of facetious, like, yeah, we're proud of being Asian, but then it's like, so then that means, so then your video is you doing wuxia, or you doing like kung fu, like old kung fu movie stuff, and you're Korean, like, not to throw shade, but like that's pride. What is that pride based on? You know, it can feel very, without a great critical eye to it, it can feel very narrow, very, very thin. It's so interesting because people will assume what you are immediately, like it determines something you haven't told them. Race and culture are related but ultimately separate. Yeah, I think, well, they have relations for sure. You know, they talk, but culture and race, and they're very hard things to define. And that's why when it comes to doing politics, like, it's ultimately mediated. Like, politics is ultimately engaged in matters of class struggle, because if motherfuckers had to sort things out based on culture, we would never get anything done. And that's partially why most of the political conversation, so-called political conversation, you see in the mainstream media is cultural ideas. Oh, they're teaching us critical race theory. They're teaching us cultural Marxism. Oh, they're putting black people in Star Wars. And these are the political conversations, so-called political conversations, that we're meant to engage with, as if the real political issue isn't, you know, black people in America are inherently like made of a different class, that had been and have been for many years, and that most black people are stuck within this um, hierarchical system of oppression in which they have all these class conditions, like this particular class condition, and as if like the answer isn't like healthcare, right? You know what I mean? Like people ask me like political sort of like that's kind of what we do here, right? So we do political eye on a political eye on like cultural and social ideas, but then for me the answer is always like give people money, you know? Like if you give everybody money and healthcare and resources, I bet you a lot of this shit will fix itself. I bet you a lot of this stuff is not going to be as bad. I bet you most people will be pretty happy with. Like I don't think anybody's going to be like, well, I have all that I need now and I'm no longer in a, struggling to have what I need and no longer feel the weight of all this power being used against me. But I do look a little bit different than the other guy. Like it doesn't really, like there's still gonna be stuff to work out, but a lot of it has to start with literally give motherfuckers healthcare, like give motherfuckers houses, give motherfuckers things to eat. And so that's the difference. Is not to truly be like we don't sit here. We're not supposed to sit here and be like race isn't a thing. Only war is class war. But we are supposed to sit here and we are supposed to understand that like these things are intrinsically tied, and that class is the direction through which the politics occur, and the direction the vessel with which we make the politics, like we do the politics. You know what I mean? The political action is a changing of class dynamics, is a class struggle that is based in not just classism or class, but is based in all these intersecting forms of oppression. Do you know what I mean? And then we also can, sort things out in ourselves, right? That's also part of it. There's been a lot of comments I've been able to miss on. Sounds like K-pop. Gyaru and girl culture and gal culture, especially in this is the general white hegemony. Oh, there's a lot. There's certain. There's a lot of stuff. There's still a lot of people outside the U.S. who only understand racism as slavery and hating people of other races and not much more, while observing a lot of stereotypes and harmful ideas. Yeah, it's a lot of people in the U.S. that are like that. There's a lot of people in Europe that are like that. Just go on fucking Reddit. People just will literally not take a second to understand that racism isn't what they think it is. Like, or that there's that the possibility that racism could be something different than what we think it is, and that it may be just a linguistic idea that we're talking about, that we're parsing through. Because it's like not helpful. It's a stupid. I keep using words like stupid and dumb. I don't really like doing that. It's just a very it's such a struggle. Like it's such a pointless, like unhelpful, depressing mode to be in, where you think the problem is that people are just bad meanies who have bad ideas and are mean to each other and just need to be nice. And if the people were just nice to each other, the world would be so great. Like imagine, like that's the way people have been built to think. They really think that that's how it is. Like, damn, like what if these mean people would just stop being mean? And a lot of the political conversations we end up having on here, on anywhere, just end up coming back to that. Why are they so mean? And it's like, dog, it doesn't matter. It's not about that. People are mean because of all these different confluences of factors of power, because of structures of power. And unless those structures of power are eroded, well, we're not going to be seeing any end to the meanness anytime soon, much less any of the bigger problems being solved. It's the same way where people are like, that fascinating conversation that David Harvey has that I want to return to, from where he's talking about Marx, and he's talking about the idea of human rights. It's like that. It's just like such a useless. I mean, there's not a useless idea to like of human rights, because there's some great philosophical understanding to unpack there about understanding like what do humans need, what are humans entitled to, what should all humans be guaranteed. But these ideas of like Amnesty International and the United Nations, and this idea like we have to preserve human rights. It's like, dude, okay, preserve human rights. So one person's human right is to capital, and the other person's human right is to being to not being oppressed, like to not being forced to work all day under horrible conditions. And that person's right is contingent on enforcing against that other person's right. Now you got to solve between whose right's going to be preserved, and I guarantee you it's not going to be the people that have more power over you who are going to have to change. Okay? Like when we talk about situations with communist revolutions in different countries, the conversation is so often like, and believe me, I'm under no impression that communism has just like magically made everybody's lives better every time that it hits a different country. But so many of the people, like the reactionary politics that come from people seeing communism is like, they took our land. Like they took our land, they took what we own, they took away our houses, they took away our slaves, or like they took away all this stuff. Like more than just like the inhumane sort of recognition of the situation from a lot of these people. It's really a deeply unfortunately true situation where people had rights to land, people had rights to a type of power and ownership, and those rights were taken from them. And that's how people got like food. That's how people were able to eat. That's how more people were able to to have things. It's because people who had power had their rights stripped. You're never gonna get around that. And if your whole worldview is based, like liberalism really did a number. It did a number. Not that it didn't like I'm sure it can't, like there's some things that it came with that aren't too bad, but like liberalism did a number, because we're sitting here having conversations about rights and freedoms and not about who has fucking money to eat and who has no money to eat. Like some people have all of the materials, they have all the resources, and they have all the food, and most people have no food. Do you understand? Like that is an exaggerated yet fairly accurate depiction of how the world is right now. And rather than engage with that, it's just like, what about freedom? Like who gives a fuck? Like I love to be free. But like, are you really free if you're spending all this time slaving over things just to make ends meet? No, you're not. Like what does freedom mean? It's just very, very nebulous, throwing things on top of things, because that's the politics that we're taught. We're taught a type of liberalism. We're taught a type of people have the individual independent spirit. And this is just how I see it, and I just think it's this ruthless individualist thing, Even freedom is a vast and complex topic, and people, it's something that, how can you just be able to easily comment on what freedom is for other people, It's just not a thing. I've actually heard otherwise seemingly really kind people in real life say those homeless people infringe on my human rights to a nice, clean environment. Like dead ass. Like that's the shit that people are built on. That's the shit that people get built because it's like, oh, I have a right to this. I have a right to this. I have a right to this. Like let's just say who cares? Like I get it. But at the same time, that's the work. That's the work, is like figuring out, hey, we gotta fix that right a little bit, because like, why do you have a right to this, but this person doesn't have a right to this? Our rights are in conflict with each other all the time, and where two equal rights meet, force decides. And whoever has the more force on their side wins. So forget all the people who have the right to not die, who have the right to not starve, who have the right to not, be stuck working 20 hours a day. Forget them. What about the rights of the other people? And that's the trap. That's the intellectual trap that we're put in, that liberalism puts us in. And the only way that we can sort of sort through that is to start saying, hey, we need to have more of a conversation about the material conditions. We need to have more of a material conditions. Marx. We have to start having a conversation about what classes are what, about who has the material, who doesn't, and where the material needs to go instead. And isn't that so much simpler and nicer too? is to say like, hey, that guy has a lot of stuff and he's not giving it to anybody. Everybody knows that. Even we know that from playground shit. That's an experience we've all had. That guy has all of our stuff and none of us have enough stuff. Go get him. Right? And like, you know, not to say that I want to kill anybody, but like, hopefully you have a peaceful political conversation and get him to give away his stuff, you know? And if not, things happen. But that's politics. That's what the work is. The work is not pretty. The work is not people are liberated through kindness and niceness. And no, people are liberated when they have the stuff. They have enough stuff. And so this is where I come back to with Buddhism too. It's like, okay, well, if you don't have your needs met and your conditions are terrible, then you're not going to be really interested in freeing your spirit, are you? You're not really going to be interested in your dharma. You're not going to be really interested in like getting to nirvana. Because it's like, dude, like the power of injustice is a bludgeon over the soul. In a white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal society, is it ethical to invest in catching Z's? I believe I answered you earlier, catching Z's. Like, actually, yeah, I answered you earlier in the stream, my friend. Because I saw your comment on the original one. So, that was probably like an hour ago, probably like an hour and 10 minutes ago. So make sure like when either right now or later on, you can go rewind it and catch that. Because I had like some interesting thoughts on that. Opinion being becoming increasingly confused with personality. Definition of self is extremely interesting to witness. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but that's an interesting question. It's an interesting observation. Oh, really? My bad. No, don't worry about Aziz. Don't worry about Aziz. I worked for a company owned by two bosses for like 13 years. They went bankrupt this year. We're starting a 5-person equal collective with one of the ex-bosses. This is progress, I hope. Yes, I think that sounds like a great move. Sounds like a great move. You know why? Because you all own it. Y'all each have a partial ownership of it. Isn't it great when we have a big thing and then 5 people are like, hey, let's split it. And not one person goes, this is all mine, and I get to decide how you guys use it so that you don't, so that you get to go home and eat. Isn't it great when it works like that? To be honest, nothing in life is a right or a guarantee, if you ask me. I mean, if we look at it practically, I pretty much am with you. We get so concerned with these ideas of rights. LA's New York side is coming out. I get very New York in my videos. Like, you get, like, my accent comes out a little bit. I let my accent come out a little bit. I feel like I have a very, like I try to avoid like being the corny, like using AAVE guy, because AAVE already has enough of a grip on our on our linguistics for me to like sit here and try to sound a certain way. But at the same time, like I feel like my accent gets very like New York Latino, New York Asian. Obviously, that means on both fronts, influence from AAVE and New York black people, and very like, just like aggressive. Like I could be a very calm person who talks very aggressively. I feel like that can sometimes be my move. What are your opinions of worker cooperatives? I like them. I like them. I don't necessarily think they're gonna fix the world, because ultimately, if the goal is capital accumulation, issues will remain, but it's certainly better to work in a space where you have partial ownership and everybody is sort of equal within that space, at least in an essential level, than working in a space where you don't, where nobody's like the power is just like completely in one or two people's hands. And from those cooperatives, maybe those cooperatives and collectives can become bigger cooperatives and collectives where each things are distributed, and all of a sudden, oh my God, socialism, right? Motherfuckers getting one worker co-op. I promise you're gonna have different thoughts about socialism. You'll be like, oh shit, like if like this for life, like this but with life, that'd be pretty cool. Like what if we all cooperatively owned our healthcare system? So we pay our, we get dividends, but we have resources in it. We have We pay taxes in it, and then we're guaranteed it because it's partially what we own, right? I'm just saying, like, I'm not the biggest economist. I don't know the most, but like, doesn't that make more sense? Doesn't that feel more real than like, this guy has all the things and he'll tell us when we get to see our sick children? Happen to have a second to pop in. Elliot, thank you so much for all your work. I appreciate you. Thank you, 7D. Absolutely, Elliot. I get it. Thank you for keeping it real. Thank you, Julian. Thank you for keeping it real. This conversation reminded me of the discourse around veganism. Do we acknowledge animal rights and therefore sacrifice our rights to eat animal products? Well, that's complicated, isn't it? It's a very strong commitment based off of a very understandable principle. And so I have a lot of respect for it. For me, you know, I feel like there's a way to, you know, like, I feel like I first can't really speak. You can't really speak on like abstract like ideas of what the best world would be, because that's not possible necessarily. Like, utopian thinking is useful, but it's often like missing the point, which is like, what do we do here and now? That's not my critique of veganism. It's my critique on both ends. Because there's also a lot of people that would be like, you know, it's culturally a part of my culture to eat meat. My ancestors were hunter gatherers, and it's like, okay, but what does that have to do with it? Like let's be honest. Like do you think do you think your soul will be taken from you if you just decided not to eat animal products anymore? The vegan question is the final boss. Yeah, I mean, I'm conflicted too. You're supposed to be conflicted, but that's the thing. It's like, when it becomes complicated for me, my ultimate decision becomes like, what's gonna work best for me? Like, what's gonna work best for people in the moment, and then how do we change that? So, you know, I love eating meat, and it helps me a lot because, you know, a lot of nutrients that I get from meat that I need, and it makes me really happy. So I just do it, and no, I know also that it's like, there's problems here. There's a lot of problems here, but, you know, ultimately also the vegan's problem is with capitalism. The vegan problem is capitalism. It's all I mean, the easy part about capitalism is that it really is the answer to everything. not me talking about Marxism, like the one size fits all déjà entendu Marxism. Like, I know everything. The answer is class struggle, and then me saying that like moments later, but like, it connects back to capitalism, right? Like, it connects back to, if not capitalism, then it connects back to oppression. Really, it connects back to oppressive systems, and those oppressive systems are the problem. And so everybody's gonna have their way to try to solve it, but until we solve that, you know, there's no achieving a greatness in your individual life. There's no achieving a prosperity or a peace in your individual life if the problems have you know, not been solved. So it's more so about your own personal commitment to something, your own personal discipline with something that you believe in. And so that is the vegan question. It's like, is this something that you truly believe in, that you're passionate about, and that you want to make a commitment to? Similar to like, you're gonna have sex before marriage, almost, right? And then for me, it's just like, okay, well, I'll do the meat. I'll eat meat, but like, maybe I'll do some other stuff different, you know. Whenever I tell people I don't eat meat, they tell me I respect it, but I can never do it, which gets old after a while, because most people who don't eat meat thought they couldn't either. I mean, frankly, Selena, good to see you. Like, that happens with like everything. Is like, I feel like you've noticed this too. Like, people are always so ready to tell you that they could just never do something, and it's like, dog, you could. You just, and that's not to say like, oh, like the Ali Abdal thing that I was criticizing of, like, everybody has the same 24 hours, and you're always doing what you want to be doing, but it's more to say that like, it's not about your incapability to do something. It's never about you being incapaz. It's never about you being incapable. It's never about you being capable. It's about other things happening in your life and your way of dealing with it. You know, so it's like a similar approach. And this is what I love about talking about self-help, is that like, a lot of this stuff is like, ooh, you're kind of there, but then you took the wrong direction, or like, you took the wrong direction and you ended up in a decent place. but like the whole thing was bad. Like, yeah, it isn't about you being incapable of doing something. It's about the way your life is, and then how you choose to go about it. And so it's like, for instance, if you're somebody who is poor and you may want to be vegan, you may think that that's nice, but like you don't feel like you're capable of doing it. You can't just tell that person, hey, yeah, you can. But it's also a matter of saying like, hey, I mean, there's a way that you could do it. It's just gonna take some shuffling and some difficulties, and ultimately commitments to things that we don't like very much in order to do things that we do think we like. And there's an incapability with the real thing that we're incapable of doing is everything, right? We're not capable of doing all that we want to do, but we are capable of doing individual things that we want to do, right? And it's just a matter of, you know, saying like, hey, like maybe I can take a little bit of time or a little bit of effort to do this if it really means something to me. And it's not going to be an easy process, and there's a lot of things that I'm going to have to sort through that are out of my control. But with what I can control, here are the commitments I'm going to make. You know, I feel like that's a much healthier place to be in than like, you have all the control of your time, you know? Like, you don't. You acknowledge the lack of control you have, and you find out what control you do have, and then you make a decision of what you're going to do with that control. It's funny how France has the "Let's go to the revolution, take to the streets" move. France is always ready for a revolution. It's a very interesting, man. I love the What's Left of Philosophy podcast. Their most recent one about what is liberalism. Like, that gave me so many insights as to why like the U.S. isn't like that and shit like that. It's so weird because most people will have that sort of reaction to asexuality. I couldn't live without sex. Like, nuances of asexuality aside, it's almost like I'm a different sexuality. Yeah, it's like, oh man, you're gay? I could never do that. Like, I mean, you're straight, right? Like, like, and also like, yeah, fluidity is a thing, right? But like, nobody said that it's like, it's not a commitment. It's an engineering. It's an engineering. It's not that's not, that part's not a commitment. That part is like, that's how I am. That's who I am. You know? And I understand there's so many theories to approach it from, but like, come on, bro. Like, it's different from like choosing what you eat. To be honest, liking men on purpose seems sus. Just kidding. I mean, like, bro, like men, like, really? You can do better. You know what I mean? Like, if motherfuckers could choose not to like men, I feel like they would. Haha. Ha 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 ha. He made the joke. He did that thing. He made that joke where people say like they wouldn't like men if they chose not. He did that thing. Haha. He's so funny. So if you're poor and eat meat instead of starving or not being nourished, for example, that's still being vegan. Yeah, I mean, some people would perceive it that way. Some people would not. I think the most important thing is that I don't think anybody should perceive that. Some people will, but I don't think anybody should perceive that as dishonorable. You know, like, that's the biggest thing. It's like, whether you want to be like, you're vegan just in a different way, or if you want to be like, you're not vegan, but that's okay. Either way, it's okay. You know, you could never do that gay stuff you're doing, bro. Respect. Yeah, that's like, it's like you're congratulating somebody. Like, bro, you're gay, man. Like, that's good work, bro. Good work. I support that. Like, okay, like, good work, bro. It could never be me, bro. But we need people like you out here. we need ace people out here, bro. Like, we need y'all. We need what you bring to the table. Liking men on purpose is. But do you read fiction or only theory? I'm gonna start reading a little bit of fiction again. I'm gonna start reading Percy Jackson. Elliot's Dream. Let's go. Yeah, I'm still here. I have something to do in about an hour and a half, so I'm probably gonna go to the end of the hour and then call it, so that I can do that thing. And my room is so messy. Jordan Peterson, please save me. My room is a mess. Not a political lesbian, just a lesbian out of necessity. It's not. It's not easy, but it's honest work. It's not much, but it's honest work. I understand that most people see it as a really hard thing to do, but from my experience, it's easier than it looks like, especially nowadays. But of course, it depends on context. Honestly, yeah, it depends on context, but also a lot of things, like the thing I was saying earlier, like a lot of things are easier to do. Like I recognize that if I really had a motivation, like I really had a passion for being vegan, you know, it wouldn't be that hard. I would just do it. It wouldn't be that hard. I just cook beans, bro. There's a lot of delicious vegan food. Delicious. Okay, it's not even a matter of that. I just don't have the passion about it. I'm just not passionate about it. Maybe tomorrow I will be. Maybe tomorrow I decide, shit, you know what, vegan, let's go. But until I get there, and you know, the brain and motivation is such a thing, right? Like we talk about ADHD, and that's such a big part of it. Is your motivation centers, your ability to filter. Some, you know, the things you do in life, you know, the things that you do in life with what control you have are based off of what motivation you have, and that motivation can come from all kinds of places, some good, some bad, but that's the motivation you got, you know, and you channel that into the best thing that you can. Asexuality and homosexuality is environmentally unsustainable. That's literally like the argument too that a lot of people be like, it's like, you know, you know, we're meant to have children. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, all right. It's like, oh, you should read The Secret History. I tend to only like existentialism fiction or Dostoevsky. The Secret History. Oh yeah, you also have ADHD and it's more difficult. You know, I've never been diagnosed, so who's to say? But I definitely got that shit, bro. And like, so like quickly, like what I'll say about that, because like it seems like a lot of people when we have this conversation are really into the like really feel strongly and really feel negatively about this concept of like self-diagnosis and like this concept of people like thinking that they have ADHD even if they don't have like that much evidence, or thinking this isn't that. And what I'm leaning towards right now is like not really getting it. Like if people are let's say 40% or 50% of people are on TikTok that are self-diagnosed against ADHD don't actually have it, and they're just like, you know, just don't really understand it that well. It's like, okay, like I what people are like, oh, they won't take the things this they won't take it seriously enough. It's like people think it's just a game. It's like, no, doesn't fucking matter if they think it's a game or not. Like, you know, it's not a game. You know, like people's perception of it, it's not really like, first of all, that's not even necessarily true, because people take things more seriously when they all feel like they experience it a lot of the time, you know. Like ADHD awareness and ADHD resources are being disseminated more and treated more seriously, in part because of this feeling that people are having societally, like a lot of people might have it. So it feels like the opposite. Like people get mad at, like, this thing is like, well, ultimately now we're just getting to classism. Like a lot of this approach that we have to neurodivergency, it's really deeply based in like upholding a power structure. It's a very reactionary thing. It's like, this thing is special, this thing is genetic, and if you don't have it, then you shouldn't even try to be including yourself in it. You know, because it's you know, it's bad, and you're making it worse. You're ruining it for us. Da da da. It's like, it's not like there's a limited amount of ADHD to go around. Like, if everybody thought that they had ADHD and only some people did and some people didn't, like, it's not the same thing as like if everybody wanted food. You know what I mean? Getting diagnosed with a disease, especially if you have ADHD, you know how hard fucking it is to get diagnosed. You know how hard that process is. With that said, I'm going to go through that process this year, getting diagnosed with ADHD and getting my ADHD and autism diagnoses. But it's like, independent of that, a lot of this shit is really helpful. But like, I don't think people like, I don't think self-diagnosis, like honestly, Julian, like I feel like if self-diagnosis is a game, or if it's a trend, I don't think that really has that negative of an impact. I really don't think it does. This is a hot take, I recognize. I understand that some people, like, a lot of people have, but like, I don't see it as that materially different from what it was before. Like, it's not as if before people started self-diagnosing with ADHD a lot in the early 2000s, let's say, were so much more sensitive towards the type of topic of having ADHD. Motherfucking kids are getting diagnosed in childhood now. You know what I mean? Like, the conversation has changed. I don't think there's any argument that ADHD discourse and resources are better now than they were before, despite all the obstacles. And despite all of the conditions outside of it that make it harder, as far as understanding the ADHD, what it is, and understanding how to treat it, the resources are way more than what they were when I was a kid. And if, we have to open ourselves up to the possibility that not only is self-diagnosis not necessarily worsening that, like, or necessarily holding that back, but that it may actually be part of what that is. Like, diagnosis, I think, is a valuable thing. And I do think, of course, you want to take it a bit seriously before you self-diagnose. But, like, I just don't understand what materially changes if people start self-diagnosing themselves with something, and it turns out they don't have it. I don't understand what the problem is. Like, for instance, like, when more people are gonna buy Adderall, it's like, well, if it helps them, why is it bad that people are buying something that helps them? Or more people are going to use ADHD resources. First of all, a lot of ADHD resources are knowledge based. It's unlimited in that sense, so that's not even gonna affect you. And second of all, if it helps them, like, the problem isn't that they're doing things that help them. The problem is that there's not enough help to go around because of the way that the system works. Your issue is not with some kids on TikTok. Your issue is with the fucking healthcare system, right? Your issue is with the pharmaceutical industry. Your issue is with mental health industries. Your issue is with capitalism. It's with capitalism, right? It's not with the fucking kids. Like, these kids are self-diagnosing on TikTok because they're depressed and they're anxious and they're trying to figure it out. And then you're sitting here in the comment section like, don't you fucking do this. Don't you dare try to be on my boat. This is my boat. I had to suffer so much to get on this boat, and you haven't suffered nearly enough. Like, do you know what you sound like when you say that? You sound like a dad. Like, you sound like a dad. You sound like a gatekeeper. Like, is gatekeeping like a ADHD based off of having died? And it only disproportionately affects marginalized people. Exactly, like Julian says, like, there's biases towards race, because, like, I've seen this conversation, like, I saw like an Insta thing about it that I also I was like, wow, that's true. Like, people have this thing about, this problem with self-diagnosis, this problem misdiagnosing yourself, and then they attack and harass people who they think are self-diagnosing improperly, and like, the most of the people who are going to be self-diagnosing are going to be marginalized people. They're going to be poor people. They're going to be black people and brown people, because they can't afford it, or because the fucking places that they can go get a diagnosis are way deep. Like, they're far from them. Like, they're far, and it's expensive, and they don't know exactly what to do, and there's cultural stigmas in their family, and so they got to go on TikTok and be like, hey, I think I have ADHD, try to sort it out, right? The problem is it never goes back to harm, like, the fucking rich kids. It never does, because the rich kids can just go get the diagnosis. Like, most of the people who are going to self-diagnose are people who are going through some shit, I guess it's because people, Offer says, I guess it's because people, I thought you left, Afro. What's up? I guess it's because people have felt misunderstood for so long that when they finally have an answer, they see that the discourse is opening up a lot, and then they have built resentment because they didn't have that. Yeah, I kind of feel like it is that. I kind of just feel like it's gatekeeping. Like, I kind of just feel like it's people, it's like it's almost the same conversation as like the student loan thing. Well, I had to pay all this thing for these student loans. It's like, bro, like, let it go. People are looking for help. It's not a neat process. We keep acting like it's this neat, even though it's so different from our personal experience of the thing. We forget that, and we keep assuming it's this neat process where if you have concerns that you have this thing, there are very obvious structures and lines that you see and you go, oh, I don't have that. Oh, I do have this. Oh, I don't have this. Well, guess I don't have ADHD then. And then they walk away and they never get a diagnosis and they never claim it again. This, it's constant fuzziness that people are trying to sort through, and it's not going to always be pretty. It's not always going to look like how you want. You just let people be, There may be structural advantages to having a documented learning disability, but everybody suffering with it deserves to help themselves. Like if you have the equivalent problems that I have, but I have ADHD and you don't, but we both have the same issues with focus. We both have the same issues with anxiety. We both have the same issues with sleep. We both have the same issues with this, and that. We have so many different things that we've experienced that are the same, but I am diagnosed with it and you're not. Which, by the way, diagnosis is not a silver fucking bullet. It's not like motherfuckers look at a scan of your brain and goes, oop, there's the ADHD dot. He got that purple ADHD dot. That means that his brain is ADHD. It doesn't work like that. It's literally you take a bunch of tests and the expert says, all right, I think you got this shit, so you got it. So, but let's say I got the diagnosis and you don't, because I am not diagnosed. So let's say you got the diagnosis and I don't got the diagnosis, but we experience the same things. So let's do the same stuff. Like, let me do stuff that helps me too, and then maybe I'll heal differently or we'll have different things. But who cares that I have a diagnosis or not? Sometimes this political shit is not easy. Like, this solidarity shit is really hard. It leads to conflict. So you have to be in solidarity with people a lot of the time that you don't like, that you don't trust. But you do it because you're both benefiting. But as soon as you start hacking at this motherfucker, you got to realize that sometimes that means that you're going to get some pain too. You're going to have some problems too, because part of the reason you were winning is because you were working with these people. Sometimes you look at these folks on TikTok and you think, man, these must be the worst people on earth. They're so dumb. They're completely downplaying this. They're completely downplaying. It's like, okay, but like, what materially does that change in your life? If you can materially look at things that they're doing and say like, oh shit, this is why I can't get medicine. This is why I can't get treatment. This is why I can't go to therapy. Then yeah, you could be like, hey, let's stop this. But you know that that's not true. You know that the reason you can't get therapy is because it's fucking $500 because of how capitalism works. So let the TikTok kids go, bro. Like, it's part of what I hate about the TikTok discourse, bro, is that it's like, it's all based on like these weird abstractions about how bad the modernity is. Oh, how bad these new things are, how bad these new kids are, and these new ideas, these trends are, and it's like, bro, you're literally just turning into an old person. Like, you're just turning into a bitter old person, Also, like, I know my brain better than anyone else, so how am I not capable or responsible for saying what's going on in my head, Like, what can some doctor tell me that I don't know already know, honestly? I mean, I think a diagnosis is valuable because you get an expert, you get a second opinion, you get all this. But at the same time, there's a value, if you have a good understanding of your own brain, which you should, to being able to say, I got this from here. Like, if I was sitting here not doing, like didn't decide to get medication, didn't decide to do ADHD treatment, didn't decide to watch how-to ADHD videos, because I was like, I don't have a diagnosis, I gotta wait, I'll be fucked. This channel would not exist. It's just like I would be absolutely fucked. So I really think we gotta let go. We gotta let go, bro. Like, unless there's something I'm missing, I don't see the material problem. Yeah, no, I know what you mean, Unseen Mole. It's just like, yo, like, I know what's going on in my head. TikTok, the new Tumblr, Tonight with Elliot. I mean, I'm saying, like, I'm so sick of the way people talk about TikTok. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of people being like, TikTok horrible. Like, there's some shit on TikTok, I get it, but I'm so sick of the whole thing of like, TikTok is so horrible. TikTok is so bad. The kids on TikTok are doing shitty shit. It's like, you realize, like, and I know, first of all, a lot of us as YouTubers, we have no choice because this is what get clicks, okay? Like, I'm going to play into it many times in the future. Believe me, I'm trying to get clicks as well. But, like, at a certain point, when we do the videos and we actually talk about it, we got to kind of be like, this isn't really important. Do you understand? Like, TikTok is awful, but not because of the kids. That's a great part of what it is. Like, TikTok is awful because of the system it emerged from, the conditions it emerged from. It didn't come out of nowhere. There wasn't a magical evil goblin that appeared in the sky that was like, yeah, I think I'll give them TikTok, and then all these bad things started happening. Motherfucker, it's happened. Like, you know what happened before TikTok? Fucking Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and Reddit. You know? Like, this is systemic. The only thing I agree with is that TikTok has definitely impacted the length of songs, and I'm tired of 2-minute songs. I like 2-minute songs, but I also like 4-minute songs. The magical evil goblin. It's really like people think there's a magical evil TikTok goblin. Like, I'm so sick of the goblinization of TikTok. I'm really sick of it. I'm sick of the goblinization of TikTok. TikTok is not some magic red herring that you can blame all the issues in the world with. I feel similarly about Twitter, to tell you the truth. Now, Twitter is extremely damaging to my mental health, but that's me. You know, like, that's me. So I stopped logging on. You know, like, come on, guys, come on. I like 3 to 5 minutes in songs. Yeah, I mean, like, sometimes I like a nice 2-minute song, but I do get it. Like, some of these songs, like, literally write a second verse. You know. Like, write a second verse. Write a third verse. I miss third verses, bro. Remember third verses? Make the video called The Goblinization of TikTok. If I get a million subscribers, I will make a video called The Goblinization of TikTok. Elliot, there's an evil goblin ruling TikTok, duh. Well, now that we know that. For real, as a trans person myself, among other intersectional identities, the struggle to get even basic non-trans related healthcare is insanely difficult. It's like pulling blood from a stone. Yeah, and it's that same trans medicalist sort of answer, right? Like, well, you diagnosed with gender dysphoria. Do you have this? Do you have that? Okay, but if you don't, stop it. Trans issues are very serious. Don't you notice that this happens with everything that has a neurological component? You know why? Because that's reactionary shit. It was stuff that's programmed into our brains because that's how our world is, and it programs us to operate like that. But it's not fair. It's not true. It's not true at all. It's not good at all. You know, I would rather have a motherfucker think that they have ADHD, like recognize that they have problems, think that they have ADHD, claim that they have ADHD, go online, tell people that they have ADHD, start getting treatment for ADHD without a diagnosis, and then the treatment doesn't work, and they find out they might have a different issue, and they change it. Because you know how they got to the finding out what their issue is? By thinking that they had a different issue first. It's their journey. It's not my fuck. It's not on me. It doesn't have anything to do with me, bro. It doesn't have anything to do with me. To be honest, I don't use TikTok mostly because I don't want to have a lower attention span than I already have. Yeah, dead ass. Like, I am 100% on the don't get on social media boat. I'm 100% on the put your phone upside down, camera side facing upward, so that you don't fucking grab it all the time. Like I'm huge on doing this, right? Being present. That's my whole thing. But with that being said, the demonization has to stop. The demonization of TikTok kids has to stop. That's a good fucking that's for next week's poll. That's next week's poll, motherfucker. The demonization of TikTok kids. I have so much stuff to do, guys. Man, I'm fucked. I'm screwed. I'm screwed McDuck. I have to pick up a fucking medication as well. And I'm 26 now, so I don't have insurance anymore, so I gotta go. Well, I don't have to go right now, but I'm about to go from the stream, but I'm going tomorrow to get the medication. Just to be clear, just to put it as clearly as possible. Your real life is in your day, your life, not others online. Yeah, exactly. Live your life. Be present in your life. What would you say would be the core principles to personal and collective agency that are actually useful rather than perpetuate the capitalist mindset of accumulating materialized possessions? It has to start with a type of spiritual clarity. It has to start with a type of mental and spiritual clarity of wanting to be compassionate and present in all moments, wanting to operate with love and kindness in all moments. It has to start there, and that has to be something that we agree is part of a collective, and it's part of collective material actions, but also is based on a love and a care for oneself, and a love and a care for others, and an idea of self-help. The idea of self-help being different from politics, I think has to change, and we have to start seeing these things as unified. They're unified for sure. Man, your streams are so comfy. Love that. Thank you. Wish me luck at my algebra classes for this semester. Good luck, Kayla. Are we too hard on TikTok next week on the Elliot Sang Show? I'm gonna make a video called "Leave TikTok Kids Alone." Leave TikTok kids alone, bro. Stop demonizing TikTok kids. They are literally just kids. Even the ones that are adults, leave them alone too. Just get on the people that are being bad. Focus on the people that are actively like hurting other people. Don't focus on the people that are like following a trend. Don't focus on the people that are like, you know, making mistakes potentially. Just focus on the people that are out here perpetuating harm if you're going to criticize people. Kind of disagree with separating our real life and our online life because they're becoming more and more intertwined, especially for the kids who grew up online. I think that there has to be a separation, if I'm to be honest. I think that they are unified in a sense, of course. It's part of your life just to log on Discord, but there is a real mental phenomenon that I've experienced where you really think that there's this world on there. You know, the way that I've seen my online friends get so warped, like so wrapped up in like what's going on in the timeline, as if it's like their day, their life. And the difference is there's a very crucial difference, aside from the fact that it's on a screen, and aside from the fact that you don't meet people, and aside from the fact that it's mediated by extremely bad actors that make it as bad as possible all the time to exploit you. Literally, there's just a difference when you go outside and you look in a person's eyes. It's different. You can't. It makes you so much more capable of a human interaction than literally just texting somebody. It really makes a difference. I promise. I know it's hard. I know some of us have anxiety disorders. I've had social anxiety a long time. I apparently have some neurological shit going on in other ways. But there really is like a thing where you go outside and you hold a person's hand, or you high five a person, or you talk to a person at the poppy store. You know, like this is a thing. Like, and what happens there, what happens when you stand up and you go to the bathroom is way more important. Like that is the presence. You cannot be present when you're online. You can be present in person. You cannot be present with somebody when you're online. You just can't. Even I'm trying. I'm learning. There may be a way we figure it out, but I haven't figured it out yet. And how can I be present in a present moment when, for instance, I'm talking to a YouTube chat that is on a 20-second delay through a camera that is not properly depicting me and not properly showing my circumstances or my like. It just, there's so many mediations and so many different distractions and corroborations that make it so that this is not full. It's fair. It's not full. It's not fulfilling. Bro really told us to touch. All right, that's it. Yeah, that's the end of the stream. Touch grass. My shit's breaking up. I'm getting bad connection apparently. So yeah, it's a good time to go. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will be back next weekend with a new video and a new live stream. Touch grass. Go touch grass, motherfuckers. There I go. Here I go. Hey, here I go.